Welcome, welcome, everybody. It's that time again where we gather around the holler goblin and tell stories, or at least attempt to. We're gonna attempt to. We'll see what happens. How is everybody? How you guys doing? Let's see here. I'll give everybody a minute to pop in. Let's see. Give everybody just a minute to get the notification. Don't know how tonight's live is gonna go. You guys probably, if you were here last night, we had some issues, so hopefully we can handle that tonight and be done with it and move on. Hey Harry, hey Holly, good to see you guys. How you all doing? That's Sugar. I don't know what that is. Everybody tap the screen, send some hearts. Let's get into the algorithm. Let's try to get up there to where we can get on the FYP again. Make sure my volume is fixed. Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hey. All right. Yep, everything is
um,
good to go, guys. Tap the screen, tap, 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 snoop boops. Snoop boop the holler goblin, guys.
how you doing, Sarah?
You know, I am alive, and there's that. And,
Alive and
yeah,
well.
I am alive.
Well, I got half of it down.
Yeah, halfway. How is everybody? How are you guys doing in the comments tonight? Did you guys have a good weekend? Hopefully you didn't have a crazy Monday. I feel like I had a crazy Monday. A Monday,
Oh
if you
God.
will. Did you
Yeah.
have a bad one?
Yeah, well, I was driving around most of the day and it's that Monday traffic.
Oh yeah. Everybody's grumpy too in Monday traffic. So,
Right, yeah. A lot of road rage,
yeah, for sure.
including me.
Right on. Don't blame you. Holly hates all Mondays. I
Yeah,
agree,
Monday
Holly.
sucked.
Yeah. Today was a bit weird. A lot of storms. Ooh, I hope that everything's okay. Ruthie, hopefully they weren't too bad. I know there's been some tornadoes recently in some weird places. It didn't, like Houston, I think Ollie said had a
Yeah.
tornado recently. Is that kind of weird? Does Houston normally get tornadoes?
I really don't know. But I did see some videos on TikTok about that. So I kind of wish it would storm here, as wild as that sounds.
Yeah.
We're
I mean,
dry.
I like storms. I like storms, but like, not really bad ones that damage things. So,
Oh yeah, no, no. I just wish it would kind of rain, kind of heavy over here. We need it.
Deborah says not usually. That is so strange.
Yeah, what's going
Not
on
really.
over there?
Yeah, for real. All right, guys. If you are new here, we gather around the holler goblin and we tell spooky stories. We do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained, which is just weird stuff in general, and we do glitch in the matrix stories. We will also willingly accept a decent troll story from time to time as long as you make it funny. It has to be good so that we can clip it later. Um,
Right.
that being said, you guys tap the screen. Just tap tap all the taps you can possibly do. The taps get us out there so that we can draw in people, and more people means more ghost stories. So it's up to you guys. If you want to hear some spooky stories, you got to start tapping. Um, yeah, Holly, it was nice. The weather here was really nice for a couple of days, and I kind of feel like maybe it's gonna be bad soon, though, because our temperatures keep jumping around. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it won't get too bad. Maybe storm season has passed.
Yeah.
Um, Guest box is open, guys. If anybody has a spooky story that you want to come up and share, feel free. Like I said, we do spooky stories of all types, and we will accept a good troll story. So, guest box is open. Don't be shy. Hit that little button. Come up here. Tell us a story. We would
Don't be shy.
appreciate it. Yeah. And in the meantime, let's just throw some Bigfoots and stuff. Throw some Bigfoots out there. Big feet, Bigfoots. I've never known what the plural of Bigfoot is. Big feet, maybe. Thank you for the little heart thingamabob. I appreciate that. Super cute.
What are you manifesting tonight, Sarah?
I am manifesting for the stream to just function.
For
That's
yeah.
all I want it to do is just function. And I want the haters to back off like in that what was that show? Haters Back Off, or was it a movie? I don't even know. I didn't see it. So that's all I'm manifesting, and everything else will leave to fate
Yeah.
because I don't care. But you guys know me, I'm always down for a good Ouija board story. And guys, in case you missed it yesterday, I bought a Ouija board.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna summon demons right
From
here on
Amazon.
TikTok Live. Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't get the Ouija board from Amazon, but I did buy one and I am excited about it. And because I'm so jealous of everybody that comes up here and they're like, I had a cool experience with the Ouija board, and I'm like, why can't I? I want to have a cool experience. So I'm going to attempt to have a cool experience, and hopefully you guys will come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Cowboy aliens. I love that little emoji. It's so funny.
You're gonna do it live
Um, yeah, I'm going to do it live. We're going
and
to see what
haunt all of
happens.
us.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to summon demons and I'm going to make it your problem.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
great.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, we're doing pretty good. It looks like our numbers are kind of coming back up a little bit. Man, last night
Mm.
was terrifying. We were under attack. So
Yes.
guys, keep tapping, keep spamming the comments. Just throw out as many emojis as you possibly can. If you're a subscriber, you have access to Mothman, Bigfoot. I forgot
Lizard
to
guy?
make the lock. We got a lizard man. We don't have a Loch Ness monster, guys. I can't
We
get the
don't.
Loch Ness monster to look right. Every time I make one, he looks terrible. Um, so no hater zone, absolutely, Holly. Have you ever messed with a Ouija board? I have. I've played with a Ouija board a couple of times and nothing happened. I mean, I say that, but like the first time something did happen, but I don't know if it was paranormal. So I'll tell you guys the story real quick while we're waiting for our first guest. And by the way, guest box is open. Feel free to cut me off at any point by jumping in the box and coming up and sharing your story. But when I was a tween, I guess, like 12 or 13, something like that,
Yeah.
me and a friend, we got her aunt's Ouija board out one weekend while we were like home alone. Because we used to spend the weekends at her aunt's house for some reason. And so we got the Ouija board out and we tried to summon some demons, and nothing really happened. Like, I don't remember the planchette doing anything, like, anything impressive. She wasn't moving it. I wasn't moving it. I don't really remember it doing anything. So we finally gave up, I guess, and we put it away and we moved on. And then late that night, we used to kind of like, I would sleep on the floor, she would sleep in the bed. So I was laying on the floor next to the bed. Um, and on the opposite side of the room, oh, thank you for the heart. On the opposite side of the room, kind of like where the closet was, I heard a knocking sound underneath the floor. And so I'm laying there in the dark, and there's like a little bit of moonlight coming through the window, so I could kind of see a little bit, but not great. And this knocking sound starts under the floor, and it starts coming a little closer and a little closer to where I'm laying in the floor. And it scared me so bad. Eventually, it got like right up on me, like, I don't know, not even a foot away underneath. And so I
Yeah.
like jumped out of the floor and I jumped into the bed with my friend and I was like, I'm sleeping in the bed with you tonight. I don't care what you say. I'm not sleeping in the floor. So that was the only thing that ever happened. Any of my other experiences with it were just kind of a flop. Um,
Right.
but in hindsight, I kind of wonder if there was an animal underneath because they lived in like a single wide trailer.
Okay.
So, it's very easy for animals and stuff to get up underneath the trailer and like knock around and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, no, we don't do creepy pastas. We usually just do like your spookiest spooky story is what we normally ask that people share with us. Like if you've had paranormal experiences or extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained, glitch in the matrix, any of that stuff. But we normally don't do creepy pastas. But maybe we could like I don't know eventually branch out. It still scared you? Yeah, it did scare me. I mean, I was 13, so um, and it was weird how it kind of seemed intuitive, like it kind of knew where I was at, and it felt like it was coming towards me. It was like teasing me, coming a little closer and a little closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, it was most likely an animal, unfortunately, not a demon. So I'm always
Right.
jealous when people are like, I summoned something and then it wouldn't leave me alone. Which is funny, Chris, because you know what? Here on TikTok, I have summoned something that won't leave me alone, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh. Oh yeah, that's not good. Sarah, you did a video on Crybaby Hill, didn't you?
um, I think I did. No,
Sounds familiar.
maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, there's like we have Crybaby Bridge. We have a bunch of Crybaby Bridge locations in Kentucky, and incidentally, there are a lot of states that also have a Crybaby Bridge stories. It's like it's an urban legend essentially.
Like
Um,
Gravity Hill.
yeah, yeah, just like Gravity Hill, and but I mean, I love the idea of like Gravity Hill, and I think the Crybaby Bridge stories are so spooky and just really
Yeah.
fun to hear and fun to tell. But Um, but I don't remember if I did the bridge. I know I did a Gravity Hill video here on TikTok. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free. Also have a new video posted. What was my new video about? Oh, my new video is about Caleb, the train tunnel demon. That was a really cool story. I would love to go to that train tunnel. I may try to soon.
Oh yeah, that was creepy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What part of Kentucky? I'm from Sandy Hook, Kentucky originally, Jay. And unless you're a fellow Eastern Kentuckian, you'll never know where that is because it's just a little bitty town in Eastern Kentucky.
Grew up in a small town.
Yep. Yeah, it's literally so small you can blink and miss it. So, Ricky Skaggs, part of Kentucky. Yeah. You're from Frankfurt? Very cool. I like Frankfurt. Frankfurt's a cool place. I feel like it's the underdog of Kentucky. People don't talk about Frankfurt very much, but it's a pretty town.
Yeah. We really need to manifest our first story. I'm ready to hear some stories.
I know, right? I don't know what that notification was, but thank you. Oh, thank you, Holly. Um, Shelbyville, very cool. I know where Shelbyville is. Yeah, guys, so the guest box is open. We do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained, which is just weird stuff in general. It doesn't even necessarily have to be paranormal. And we do glitch in the matrix. And the more you guys tap, the more people will appear and the more ghost stories we will get. So it's all up to you guys how many stories we get to hear tonight. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. You got a spooky
Yeah,
story?
I do. I kind of just made it up on the spot because it's like, mm, I don't know.
Wait, you just made it up on the spot?
Yeah, because it kind of makes sense to me.
Can I get an age check real quick? How old are you?
I'm 19.
What's your birthday?
November 16th, 2004.
Chris, does that make sense? I can't count good.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay,
be
we're gonna.
20 this year, but yeah.
Okay, you sound very very young, so I wasn't sure. So we normally do like true experiences, but if it's really good, I guess we'll let you tell it. If you made it up.
I'll just go off the top of my head what I can remember.
All right, I'm ready.
Right. I'll try to explain this as best as possible. So, basically, the worst nightmare anyone could happen is through their best interest or their best hobby. So, for example, if you're a very good painter, the worst nightmare you could ever have is about someone painting you in a very horrifying way, or showing you a painting of a picture that you can't see but everyone else can. But the one that I think is more terrifying is the one where you're working with animals. Basically, there's this guy who he loves snakes. He was basically the nerd of all snakes. He would keep an entire room full of snakes, any type, across the world, venomous, non-venomous, you name it. So, one night, after he was settling in, he starts having lucid dreams of him getting bit by his own snakes in the middle of the night. Although these started to be just random nightmares, he starts to find out that these pain that he's feeling feels more real after each night goes by. So after weeks or even months go by after this pain, he soon realizes that his worst fear is what he loves more than anything else in the world. Yeah, I think that's it, but that's all I can remember right now.
Okay, very
Interesting.
cool. Well, we appreciate you so much coming up, and hopefully you hang out and listen to some stories with us tonight.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem, mate.
Alrighty, have a good night. All right, guys, tap the screen, tippity tap, get some people in here. Real quick, let me just do something.
Let's get this show on the road, guys.
Let's do it. Hi,
What's up?
hello, welcome.
Hey,
Got a spooky
all
What's
right.
up?
story for us?
Yeah, I have a few, but I'll probably tell you my most creepiest one. So I had just graduated high school, um, and I was walking down the street. This is probably like 8 o'clock at night, and I only tell this story to like people I'm very close with. It's pretty crazy that I'm telling 100 people right now, but because a lot of people probably aren't going to believe me. But I was walking down the street with my best friend tonight. It was probably like 8 o'clock, and like those sidewalk sewer holes, like the rectangle ones, like in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So, bro, like I don't even know how to explain it. This black like blob shaped figure starts kind of like wiggling its way like out of the sewer, very very slowly, and we're just having a conversation. And we stop dead in our tracks, and this thing has a red light, like a almost like a laser on its head, I guess. I don't know. It was just a black blob shadow with a red laser on his head, and we both look at each other like in the movies, and we start screaming at the top of our lungs and run the other way. I have no clue what that was to this day, but just some unexplainable paranormal weird stuff that I will remember for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is wild. Absolutely wild.
And I wonder what would have happened if I stayed and let it come out of the sewer all the way. Like, would it have take me to another dimension? Would it have like killed me? Like, I don't know. It's just insane to think
Yeah.
about.
I mean, it would have definitely done something because blobs like that don't come out for no good reason. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's very interesting. We've never had one like that before. We appreciate you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, we are off to a wild start. I think it's going to be a wild night. I think yeah, it's going to be interesting. Um, all right, guys, guest box is open. If anybody wants to come up and share a spooky story, we want to hear your spookiest spooky story. The story that scared you the most, the one you think about when you're driving down a dark highway alone at night, and then you think somebody's in your back seat. You think you saw them in the mirror, but you're not
Oh
quite
my God!
sure.
Here we go. Here we
I'm
go.
not I'm not gonna do it, Chris. I'm just freestyling.
All right.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Before I say what I'm about to say, I just want to say I really like that guy's story. I thought that was really cool. I like the weird ones.
I know
Uh,
you love the weird ones, yeah.
yeah. We actually have a guest, so I'll save it for after that.
Okay.
Ooh,
Hello.
hi guys.
Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. So I
You
have a
got a
ghost story.
spooky? Okay,
Oh,
very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, so me and this girl, we were best friends as teenagers, right? And we've been reconnecting and we had some mutual ghost experiences as teenagers. We were stupid and messed around with a Ouija board and uh weird things happen. We saw ghosts. Ghosts were touching us. I got scratched by one. Crazy shit happened. I thought it was. I didn't know if it was real or not. But then as adults, we've been reconnecting and affirmed that ghosts are real. And ever since then, I see her background, the glitch in the Matrix. Things have been weird for me.
Ooh. Yeah. Definitely tell us about that.
Yeah, like I've been in lives talking to people and I'll notice like it'll be almost like the sound will cut out. I'll hear the background noise. I'll hear birds like just randomly.
Hmm.
And I've seen fourth wall breaks. And those fucking NPCs, the NPC live people, I think they're actually NPCs. Cuz
Oh.
Well,
I've been talking with one of them. I've been talking with one of them.
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I always tell everybody that eventually I'm going to come up with some NPC responses to gifts, and I haven't yet, but I can assure you, I very much, unfortunately, am a real human being. So,
Yeah, and I'm just trying to figure out what's really happening here because I feel like nobody else is freaking out like I am. I've been trying to talk to people about this, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. Everyone's like, "Are
so
you okay? Are you getting mental help?" Like, yes, I am.
so I'm really interested in your Ouija board story. Can you kind of walk us through what happened with that? Like what, from
Well,
beginning to kind
we
of.
kind of made one. We made one with a piece of cardboard and we wrote on it with a Sharpie. And we used a quarter as our plan. I forgot the name of the piece, but our little piece
Planchette.
to move around. So we made one.
And so were
Yeah,
you able to
spirits will
feel
make me
like a.
anxious. I'd say so. I'd say I'm very anxious about existence.
I
Yeah.
am
Well, that's
too. I
normal.
think that's the new normal. Yeah, I totally. That's normal. Um, so were you
Yeah, I'm
able
just
to
trying to figure
feel like
out.
some type of force moving the quarter
Oh
underneath your
yeah, oh yeah.
fingers? Like, What kind of connection did you make? Were you able to like get full answers, or what kind of questions did you
I mean,
ask
I
him?
know that there are mysterious forces. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember. Hat Man. Oh, Hat Man. Oh, I bet Hat Man is real. You know, the Benadryl stories.
Right, yeah. Have you ever experienced Hatman? Oh, I think we.
No.
Oh.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't want to either.
I don't
We
know.
get a lot of.
I've been getting, yeah, I've been getting, I get really, really negative feelings from random like media, like videos I'll watch on TikTok and stuff. I'll just get really bad vibes
Uh huh.
and really bad vibes from people. Like, okay, Joe Biden, for example, I get real bad vibes about him.
Oh, her connection turned red. Did you see it, Chris? All her bars just bottomed out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see
We
that. Oh,
do we
no.
do have somebody waiting though. We're gonna go ahead and bring Lisa up, and guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get out there on the FYP. Um, I see you down there, Ollie. Hello, welcome,
Hi.
Lisa. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
You got a spooky story for us?
My dad knew that I always got funny feelings when something was wrong. And when he was younger, he and his brothers grew up really poor, had to sleep in the same bed. Well, one of his brothers woke him up one time. There's a trunk floating up. Next day, they went up in the attic, found a baby's body in the trunk. Another time, he said he was working at Fisher Body in the 50s, and there was a gentleman who wore a top hat, tails, and he'd tip his hat at them if they were working late and walk on by. Well, my first ex-husband died in a car wreck. I was really upset. We had a son together that was 7. My stepdaughters were 11, 12, and 13 when they really need their dad, you know. So I'm all upset, and I feel and smell because she always wore Noxzema and white shoulders. My grandmother, my dad's mom, come and give me a hug. Well, later on that day, my dad came by to check on me, make sure I was alright. And I told him I'd had a visitor, and he said, "Oh, yeah, who?" And I said, "You tell me." And as soon as he got near me, he knew, because he could smell it, too. So I know it wasn't my imagination, or he wouldn't have smelled the Noxzema and white shoulders on me. Not something I exactly used back in my 20s. So, not especially scary, but I've had those too.
Oh yeah, that's
But
definitely interesting.
I
And I've
thought
had
it was real
similar
interesting.
experiences like that as well, where you kind of have like those phantom odors, and very spooky when that happens.
Yeah, I figured she was just letting me know that everything, was okay and would be okay. And then it was really weird because my mom died on that husband's birthday. So it was like he came, took mom with him. So,
Yeah.
family. What can you do?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, thank you so much for coming up and sharing that with us, and I hope you'll stick around tonight and listen to some stories.
Oh yeah, I'll be here for a while.
Alrighty, well, we
Awesome.
appreciate you. All right, guys, we are off to a start. Everybody tap that screen. More hearts means more people means more ghost stories, and we need some more ghost stories in here. Whew.
Yeah. This is great. This is great. Keep them
I know
coming.
you're loving it. I know.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
love I love the stories.
yeah. So someone in the comments says you're live Mondays. Yes, we are live Sundays and Mondays. And
Yes.
unfortunately, you missed the marathon stream. Was that last week or was that the week
Yeah.
before? Last week.
Last week.
Yeah, we did a marathon stream last week. We did every single night except for Friday because Friday kind of seemed like TikTok was kind of slow. So we actually went to the Discord and did like a live stream over there where we all just got together and talked about ghosts and beef jerky. Tapped into another live. Yeah, that happens from time to time when you're scrolling through TikTok. It does. It does. See what is up with Harry.
What's up, Harry?
Howdy, howdy.
Hello. Hey.
Uh, since that night that Lodge told that story about the whistling at night,
Mm-hmm.
every night
Yes.
since that, my dog keeps charging the door.
Ooh,
Because I
interesting.
whistled for her that night, not thinking anything about it. And then I heard that story, and now every night she goes
What?
underneath the door, smelling really hard, growls at the door, or hackles on the back of her, her back, stand up. There's something comes out there, and she doesn't like it. And I'll pull her back and I'll peek out. There's nothing there. But she's smelling something. She senses something's there.
Well, it just so happens that Lodge is here, so
I
what do you
seen him
think
pop
about that, Lodge?
Just don't whistle at night. I don't know.
I've, I've
We
done it
kind
all the time and never thought anything about it. Never had any problem until I heard your story. And I done it that night, and she's been acting up every night. She charges that door and just growls, and there's definitely something there. It's never tried, it's never said anything, it's never knocked, but it's always there.
well, I sent you that stuff, that smudge. You can use that. That'll
Yeah,
get rid of
I,
it.
I plan on it.
But no, the whistling at night thing. It's us natives were really superstitious when it comes to that. We just do not disobey that because it's a tried and true thing. I mean, if I don't encourage anyone to do it, but a lot of times people don't believe in the paranormal. They don't think it's real. So go do it. See if it works. I mean, I don't encourage it, but if you're that curious, go against what we say and see what happens.
Yeah, I've never given it a thought before. Nobody's ever told me that. I you know, didn't think anything about it. And I always whistle for the dogs to come in. And that's ever since then, like I said, she at some certain point in the night, usually it's about maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, she'll charge the door. Always about the same time.
Oh no. Yeah, I think you might have called something in.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because this is why I tell everybody, well, I should start making disclaimers because some of these stories that we talk about, you you can make them real in your mind too, just hearing them. And there are a lot of natives that they won't tell stories because of that. There's like a couple different schools of thought in Indian country, I guess I'd say. A lot of them believe you shouldn't tell them, whereas others are open about them and just speak freely about them. But me, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle there. I'll talk about them, but I always make sure I have protections and things like that, because we have smudge, and that's what we use, and it works for us. So, I'll do things like that, and I'll pray and call in certain helpers to protect my family, the place where I live, my animals, things like that. But you got to really be careful with a lot of these ghost stories and stuff because I firmly believe you can call them to you or manifest something that you weren't expecting. and it kind of goes along with that Ouija board type thing. Now, my views on Ouija boards are just don't play with them, and I'm not unique in that. There's a lot of people that think like that, but the other thing is a Ouija board itself is not the the boogeyman. No, it's the intention that you're doing with it that makes it kind of iffy. Because we could have that intention with anything. We could be sitting there just all by ourselves thinking about something, like manifesting something into being. You don't necessarily need a Ouija board. You can do it with anything, just with your thoughts. So a lot of us too, that were raised in the traditional ways of our tribes, we believe that your thoughts got to be clear too. You don't think bad like that. You really be careful with your thoughts, because we believe our thoughts are really really powerful, and they can manifest things. And it, just kind of along those lines. So that's my belief on the Ouija board thing. I just believe that intent that goes around with it is kind of iffy. You shouldn't really fool with it unless you have protection. You call those spirits in to protect you, be it the creator or whatever you do to protect yourself. I think that's really important. Hey, but I have some ghost stories I wanted to share real quick. Are you
Yeah.
you got any more, Harry, that you need to talk about?
No, go ahead and tell yours. I got one that happened the other day, but go ahead, and
Okay.
I'll go chime in afterwards.
All right, sounds good. So the horseman. There are so many stories about different sorts of men, right? Like goat man, now horseman. I even told a story about a bunny man. They're just the weirdest stories I come across and that I hear people tell. And anyways, the horseman is one of them. It's one of those that people have never really heard about. I haven't. It's the only story I know about it. So my friend was playing outside of Wiskitsapi, the Heart Butte, the little community out there. He was playing outside, and he used to play by himself a lot of times. And over by the powwow grounds, there used to be this old house, and kind of like a junkyard kind of thing around there. Since then, they've cleaned it up and built like this water treatment facility kind of thing over there. But that's where he used to play around at, and it's really close to. So you got the little community of Heart Butte, and then you got the next one just across the field is another little subdivision called Skunk Village. I think it gets its name because of that water treatment plant. But anyways, he was playing. He stayed in Skunk Village, so not all the way in Heart Butte, but kind of outskirts of it by this other little subdivision. And this was his very first paranormal experience as a kid. He was about 6 years old. And as he's playing in the dirt right in there, he notices something. Something catches his view, and he looks, and he sees this massive horse thing standing on its hind legs, like straight up like a man. And he said it was really odd because it had it had an like a leather coat on, but it was standing like a man, and it was walking. He said the shoulders of this thing and the head were just huge, were just massive. And he said it scared the living hell out of him. He's just a kid and he didn't know what to do. So he backs away from the little pit that he was playing in and just runs, getting ready to run, but he was paralyzed with fear, just standing there as he stood up and got ready to move. So he just ends up watching it, and it walks by that old house and kind of disappears out of view. And by then he kind of like shakes free and starts trying to like back up more, but he's wondering where the hell it went. And it just simply disappeared. It didn't come out, nothing. So he just started running from that point on, ran back to his house, told his dad about it. And, his dad's old traditional guy too. And, start praying for protection for him and everything like that. But I've never heard of any other story like that. Now, I think these things are like the little folk. They got 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the spirit world. That's what I think that was a part spirit, part physical. I don't, because if it was straight up physical, we'd always see them like we see elk or we see bear or we see wolves or coyotes or anything like that. So I think this thing was both. It lived in both worlds. But those kids, that's what my stories tonight are kind of going to revolve around, our kids. kids always see things because they're innocent. They don't have doubt. We grow up and we're indoctrinated in certain beliefs depending on who you are and where you're from, and you start developing this doubt. You start embracing science as the only thing that ever exists, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what it does is it shuts that how would I say it, that vision of that you have, that we all have, it shuts it off. And so kids don't have that. That's why they sometimes can see these spirits just as freely as we see each other walking around. And so my daughter, when she was younger, this was about 4 houses back. She was really young at the time, and she seen the Hat Man there. But this version of the Hat Man was so big. I mean, it was tall and skinny. They have a thing, I want to say they call it the Slender Man. Kind of, that's how she was describing it, but it had this hat. And it was really tall, and it'd have to hunch over so its head wouldn't bounce off the ceiling. And when it would peek in that room at her, it would bend its head all the way down, like it was almost bent over double, looking into the room at her. And she seen it a few times before I really, we realized we needed to cleanse that place out. I don't know what that spirit was, other than a hat man, because it had a hat on. And that's how she would talk about it, is I had a hat. She was so young, she must have been about, I want to say 5 years old herself. She was still at the tea party with her dolls kind of age. And she would talk about that. And so we would clean out, we had to cleanse that house, and it quit. Those things quit. What was interesting about that house is we didn't know, but we had a black mold problem in there. That's why we left. There was black mold, and the landlord wouldn't do anything about it. Kind of like a slumlord, I guess. But I think they're getting ready to sell that house, so they didn't want to, I don't know. But I noticed that was one of the things that was happening there. And then my brother, the place he stayed at had black mold, and there was so much activity around that too. These things that are harmful to us, I think they're attracted to those spirits that just come and go. They're not really associated with one area or locked into a house. These are the ones that we believe just travel through, and that's what I think that one was. But we end up leaving that place. And this other time, my daughter had went with my brother to the res, and they were up there and messing around for the weekend, and we stay off the res right now. And so she was gone from the house, but on the way back down, she was driving, she was sitting in the back, and she was kind of bored, so she was looking out the window. But the light from, the dashboard, whatever, she could kind of see her reflection in the window. And as she was looking at herself, and she was about 16 at the time, and as she was looking at herself in her reflection, she was just kind of staring, and she'd look back and look back at herself again, look forward, and then look back at herself again. When she looked back at herself and she was like looking at herself, it was weird because she was smiling at herself. She wasn't smiling. Totally freaked her out. She gets home, Dad, this happened. She said, I kept looking and I kept seeing myself smiling, but I wasn't smiling. And she was just really creeped out by that when that happened to her, poor girl. But she's got protection in her room too. I've got barriers all throughout the house. So whatever it was must have been on the road that was traveling with her that night. And so I'll move along to this next story. It's about the little folk again. So my friend was staying with one of his friends at their house with his friend's mom and all that. They get back late one night, and it's out at the same place, Heart Butte. So they come back out, and it's really late. When they knock on the door, when I usually go over there, it was my friend and his brother. They knock on the door. The dog usually barks, and the mother will come and open the door and let them in and whatever. Well, as they're getting back late that night, and they go and knock on the door, go up the patio and knock on the door, and it's just quiet, dead quiet out there. And they don't stay all the way in Heart Butte. They stay like kind of out over this little hill. But anyways, they kind of stay away from there a little bit. And as they knock on the door, quiet, nothing. And all of a sudden, as they're both standing there, the curtain kind of opens a little bit. They have kind of like windows alongside the door, and the curtain alongside the door opens, and they both look down, and they see this little folk, this little uh, what people call them, fae or whatever, but it was this little. I don't want to say it because I don't want this live to get hurt by it, but that little folk was standing there looking up at them, and they said it just looked at them, kind of recognized them, like, oh, it's just these guys, and it shut that curtain. And the brothers looked at each other. Did you just see that? Like, yeah, yeah, I saw that. Like, what the, and just then that dog start barking, and like normal. And when that dog started barking, the mother got up and let him in. And as she was coming, she said, hey, should we tell her about it? I don't know how to explain this to her. Don't say anything. The other brother had said, it's just don't say anything about it. Just don't talk about it. So she opens the door. They walk in and they're really looking around for that little folk, and they couldn't find it. It wasn't they didn't see it or anything after that. But they end up just going to sleep. He was saying, upon reflection of this event, what he think happened was that that little thing saw them, recognized them, like, oh, it's just them, and it went and it kind of must have bothered that dog, got that dog's attention, because it knew that's how the mother would hear somebody at the door, and it would get up and she would get up and let them in. So that's what they think happened that night. It's really a strange thing, but those little folk are real. They're around, and they should be respected. You shouldn't go try to find them. You shouldn't mess with them or anything like that, because they are there, and they vary depending on where you're at. They're different depending on where you go. And the last story I have for tonight is here was this house, just again outside of this little community of Heart Butte, to the north this time, and the people in there were having beverages that night, and they would lock that door. It when you drive by it, there's really no light around there. It's always kind of this dark area, that place that my friend was talking about. He says, well, my brother was in there. He was saying, and saying he was with them, and they were all having their beverages that night. And that guy always kept his doors locked. He always locked them no matter what. Had a deadbolt, and he'd lock them. And so they're all sitting around one night, and he gets up to use the bathroom, and as he's walking by the back door, that's where the bathroom was, this great big man with the hat, same thing, another hat man story. He kind of bends down and he walks in that back door, but he has to bend his head down to walk in. He walks up to that case, and he just grabs himself a can and walks right back out. But as he was using the bathroom, the owner of the house was in the other part. I think he went to his bedroom or something, but he came back and he says, hey, who was that that big guy with that hat, that cowboy hat that come in here? Do you know him? He said, no, there's nobody to come in here. That door's locked back there. He says, no, he walked right in that door, and he took one, and he just left. He didn't even say nothing to us. And he said, well, I don't know. He says, go check that back door and see if it's locked. So they go back. Sure enough, it's still dead bolted. That one there is a hat man, yeah, but I think it's one of those alcohol type spirits. So anyways, those are the few stories I had for tonight. But I'll log off so Harry can I'll jump down so Harry can tell his story. All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you, Lodge.
Thanks for the gifts too.
All right, Harry. Tell us your story.
Yeah, I don't know if I've told this. I don't know if I've told you this before. When I was younger, always lived in the country, and it was like fall or toward winter, and we were getting our first snow, and I opened up the door to look out, and it felt like something pushed on the door. And I pushed back and I hollered at my brothers because something was pushing against the door, and they all came out, and they were pushing against the door, and we could all feel something pushing back against us. Well, my other brother, he went and grabbed a pew pew, and he's like, told us to open up the door, but when we did, the door flung open. The door opened in. So it flung in and it actually hit the wall, but there was nothing there. No, nothing. Nothing ever happened after that, but there was something pushing on the door. And all three of my brothers have vouched for that. We were all standing, scared the shit out of us.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Have no clue what it was. I don't know. That's the first time anything's ever happened to me. And after that, I started noticing more stuff. I'd hear things and see little things that I've never paid attention before. And since then, it's just picked up. The older I got, the more I've seen it.
Yeah.
Until now,
It
we're on
tends
this
to
property.
happen that way.
Yeah. Now we're on this property, and I see more. And now this thing with the dog, and I've had stuff I hear running across the roof. It could be a raccoon, but don't know. It's always happens at night.
Yeah.
But it's spooky. It, kind of raises the hair on the back of your neck because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely know what you mean.
But that was all I really had. I just wanted to come up and say something about the whistling thing.
Yeah,
Since
and
Lodge
it's
Tales
funny because
talked about it.
yeah, Lodge was here right about the time that you were going to tell it, so I figured you all could talk about that because that is strange.
And
Yeah.
I just got the smudge today, so I'll definitely be using it.
Awesome. Hope it works.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
He settled down.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know what's going on, which I mean, I'm sure you will. But
Of
yeah,
course I will.
I'll be interested to know if you notice any changes in anything, and pretty cool.
Yep.
All right, Harry.
All
Well,
right.
we appreciate you, and I know you'll hang out with us tonight, listen to some stories.
Oh, I always do.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for coming up, Harry.
Yep.
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, Sarah. Sorry, I went to go take a pee break and then I grabbed something to drink. But thank you, Lodge. Sorry, I didn't get to say thanks to Lodge when he dipped out.
Yeah. Looks like we've got a bunch of people waiting.
Yeah.
Start. Guys, hang in there in the box. We'll get to you. Hello, welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Doing great. My story tonight did not happen to me. It happened to a very good friend of mine here in Minnesota during COVID. He and I are about the same age, and his parents are very elderly, they were both in their late 80s. And then he has a younger sister who had always lived with them throughout her life because she had Down syndrome. So during COVID, unfortunately, both of the elderly parents got sick with COVID. And my friend, his name is Mark, he was just camping out at the hospital at his parents' bedside. They weren't in the same rooms. In fact, all three family members were in the hospital, mom, dad, and his sister. But they were all three in different rooms, and I think in the sister's case on a different floor. In fact, I know she was a different floor. She didn't have COVID, she was just sick. And so he was staying with the parents, and it took them maybe 2 weeks before they passed. The father passed first. And then he told the doctors and nurses, don't tell my sister because I will. But he stayed at his mother's bedside, and a few days later, she passed. So he was exhausted. He'd been in the hospital like 2 weeks, barely eating and sleeping. So I came and picked him up at the hospital and sort of was a friend to him. And he said, I got to tell my sister, and I got to figure out plans for her because she can't care for herself and stuff. At any rate, when he got a few days later, he went back to the hospital, and the nurses said to him, "Hey, we just want you to know we respected your wishes. We did not tell your sister that your parents had passed, but she knows that your parents are dead somehow." And one nurse said, "So we heard her having a conversation in the room. She was just talking and talking, and we went in there and we asked her, who she was speaking to. She said, 'Oh, my mom and dad were just here visiting. They were telling me that they're going to heaven.'" And Mark, this is the story they told Mark. So Mark goes in to see his sister, and the first she says, "Mark, did you know mom and dad went to heaven? They came and visited me, and they said that they're going to heaven and that everything's going to be okay and that they love me and you." And I don't know all the stuff of what she said, but that is the whole story. There's really not much else to it, but I thought that it was kind of a fascinating little story that the so the nurses and Mark and the sister all kind of heard the same story from her. She had no way of knowing that. Nobody had shared it with her. And that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We always appreciate you. You have the best stories. I love it. Very cool.
Thanks.
All right. Very, very cool. I believe Fallout. Oh, what did I tap? Oh my god, I hit the wrong button. Hello, welcome.
Hello. So I just had a few stories to share before I go to bed, but
Yeah.
I was watching this scary videos on YouTube, and then it reminded me of when I was a little girl. I got this doll for my birthday, and it was like this little doll that would giggle and run around in a stroller. And so I had fun with it the first night, and then later that night we heard it giggling on its own, but I knew that I had turned it off. So it started happening like every night. We could hear this thing running around in the basement giggling. And I remember I would come in the day and or in the morning and check it, and it was always off. And then I started having strange dreams about this doll coming up the stairs and unaliving my family. And I started getting really freaked out by it. And I went down one day to look at it, and I was going to take the voice box out of it. And I couldn't find it anywhere. It was just this empty stroller. And I opened the laundry room door, and it was laying there facing the door on a pile of laundry. And so it just kept getting stranger, and even my parents started noticing it. And then I finally decided that I was going to destroy this doll, and I went downstairs to destroy it, and it had completely disappeared. Like it never existed.
Oh wow. Jeez, that's very Annabelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. When you say it disappeared, like you just never saw it again, like you couldn't find it, or
Yeah, I searched the entire basement, the laundry room, and the entire doll stroller and all was just gone.
wow,
Wow.
that is crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So that was my little possessed doll experience. Um, and then like when he talked about the Hat Man, I had a quick moment when I was in my grandma's house. Like so much, like I said, happened there. I looked into the hallway, and there was just this tall man, almost as tall as the door frame. I didn't see any features on him. It was just like a shadow, but he was wearing a cowboy hat. So I saw that too.
Ooh, sounds like Shadow Man.
Yeah. Then that's what I never knew what to called him. He looked like a cowboy by the shape of his shadow, but everybody started talking about Hat Man, and that's what that reminded me of.
How tall was he though, if you had to guess?
Probably between like 6 and 7 feet.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I know. Oh, so I guess just a couple more you know, things happening that shouldn't be happening. But in my dad's trailer in more recent years, I remember I was arguing with somebody, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something like peek around the door frame that went to my dad's room, and it was just like an all white face, and it was probably over 6 feet tall, and it just looked real quick, and then when I turned in the direction, it quickly went back behind the wall. And my friend was having issues when he was in the house where his charger would become unplugged when he was asleep at night. And then one night I was sitting across from it where I could see the charger in front of me, and I literally saw it pull out of the socket, come out about a foot, and then just drop to the floor.
Oh no, that's just annoying. And this was all in the same house?
No, these were different experiences. The doll
Oh.
happened in my childhood home,
Uh-huh.
and the Hat Man happened in my grandma's place where I had probably the most experiences. And then
Oh, okay.
the charger and the figure looking at me around the corner happened in my dad's trailer.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's one I remember from last night that you were talking about.
Yeah, I've had a, a kind of a cool one too. Was right after my mom had passed, she used to sleep on this couch out in the living room, and she had this very specific perfume that she would wear, and she would smoke Marlboro cigarettes. She would get up at like 3 in the morning and smoke Marlboro cigarettes. And it was about 3 in the morning, and I was sleeping on the couch across from where she slept. And all of a sudden, I smelt her perfume, and then I smelt her cigarettes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And tell them about the can. The one morning, it was broad daylight, so we're at work, and just
Oh,
popped up.
so my friend was talking about in the place that we're currently at. We have like an old school like radiator boiler kind of heater, and he had a can sitting on it, and it just out of nowhere like flew up into the air and hit the floor, like somebody had popped it from underneath. And I also witnessed like a body armor bottle do the same thing.
hmm.
Tell them about like this leopard man and something evil with a friend, and it was coming
Oh,
up.
I already told him that last night.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if this stuff just seems to like follow me, but yeah,
It seems like it, yeah.
yeah, and even like weird things like clairvoyance in terms of that. I remember I lost my mom young. She was 51, and I remember I was in this horse tank with her in the backyard, and I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. And so I looked at her, and I just had this strangest feeling like she wasn't going to be with me much longer. And I even thought to myself, like, maybe I got like 10 years with her. And I brushed it off at the time being a child, and I just went and I sat by her in the pool. But sure enough, 10 years later, we lost her. And so it kind of like occurred to me that somehow I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear about that though. It's that's some really hard stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, and it seems like it's followed us all around in some sense. Like when I had a sister who was born sick. I was born right after she, moved on. But there was a picture that they had taken of my mom, and everything in the picture looked normal except all around her belly, because she was pregnant with her, was this great big golden like halo all around her stomach. And then the day that she went, my mom had gone downstairs, and she went outside to have a cigarette, and she was sitting there, and the nurse pointed out, she's like, "Oh, look, a dove," which is really weird in Nebraska. You don't see like any like true doves. And she looked up, and this dove flew into the light under my sister's window, and the light went out, and the bird, fell to the ground. And in that exact moment, my mom heard her name being called, and she went in, and it was my dad, and he told her that she could come up because my sister was gone. So she went the exact moment that that dove hit that light, and that light went out.
Wow, yeah, that's really incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to believe in, something higher when things like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really experienced much, but I really I really like hearing these stories, and those are some. I know it's hard stuff, but they're wholesome. And somebody said it sounds like you have a spiritual family, and seems that way.
Yeah, I really have. I really do. Somebody asked about a near experience or whatever. Excuse me. Um, the only thing I could say that was closest to that, I did have a moment where I almost went, but I don't really remember much. But I was really young, and I convinced my mom that I could swim in the deep end. And I was at a family reunion, and I jumped off, went down this slide into the deep end, and I went all the way down, and all of a sudden I just had like this really calming sensation come over me. And then all like there was like a white light in front of me, and then I saw someone coming through reaching for me, and I grabbed on, and then it was my cousin that had jumped in to sweep me up and pull me out of the water.
Oh no, yeah, that's scary. I'm not a good swimmer, so that scares me for sure.
Well, and then I guess I'll tell one more thing in terms of like water. So, everybody believes about, a lot of people believe in like guardian angels and things like that. My aunt had taken my little brother to the swimming pool, and he was probably like 7 or 8 years old, and he got away from her, and there was a lot of people in the pool, and she turned around and she could see all of a sudden that he was, drowning, and she was trying her hardest to get to him, but she just couldn't get to him. And all of a sudden, this man came out of nowhere, picked him up, and carried him over to my aunt. And then my aunt was maybe like just a few seconds checking on my brother, and she turned around to thank the man, and he was gone. And she looked everywhere for him, and she could never find him.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, that's wild too.
Yeah. Like I said, I've got enough of these kinds of. I've got enough stories to go for days, but I know there's a lot of people waiting, so I'll get out and let the next person come in. But I just wanted to share those things because I kind of got reminded of a few more things when I was watching my scary videos. So
Yeah, we
Yeah.
really appreciate you, and we like your stories. Definitely come back up
absolutely,
again.
Yeah, for
definitely, I
sure.
will. But you guys
Alrighty,
have a
thank you
good
so
night.
much. Thanks,
Thank
you too.
you. Thanks.
Wow. Pretty amazing stuff. Holy cow, we've got a ton of people. Okay,
We're busy.
let's get Ollie and Druid up here.
Hi.
What's up,
Hey.
guys?
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
I've been listening to some good stories. It's a good
The
Mhm.
dream
time.
team.
Yeah, it's back to being busy again tonight, unlike last night.
Everybody, please keep tapping.
Yeah, let's get up past 30,000, guys. So we've got I don't know if you guys had stories or anything you want to share, but we do have a bunch of people waiting. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring all them up one by
Yeah,
one.
let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Alrighty. I don't know who was here first, so we're gonna go with Hollow Frank, see what is up, what he has got for us.
Hey there.
Hello.
Is it connecting? It doesn't seem like it's connecting.
Don't think
There we
so.
go. Hello, welcome.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to recharge as soon as you invited me up. Um, yeah, to the girl that's talking, um, 420 girl. That's amazing. It really having a near unalived experience can seems like it opens something in your mind and makes you become an empath. Um, I was in a life or death, unalive situation, and she said something about angels. And this is going to sound crazy. And trust me, I'm seeing a therapist right now because I know how crazy this sounds. I've never had any mental issues, stability. I'm a contractor, my father. But, I was in live or unalive situation. And the Archangel Michael manifested himself to me, which was, it was so crazy that, I mean, I can't even tell you guys how crazy this was. I had a guy stalk me for 3 weeks, and he had got out of prison. He slipped through the system here in Alabama, and he stalked me for 3 weeks. He seen me dancing with this girl he used to date. He'd become institutionalized, and he couldn't survive out here in the real world. So, long story short, this guy had threatened to unalive me. He was going to claim jealous rage over this girl that he's seen me dancing with, that he used to date when he was a teenager, whatever. And he followed through with it. He stopped me for 3 weeks. He come to my house and tried to, him and another guy and this girl was driving the car, and he kicked his way into my, I was in a camper. I was on my land. I was fixing to build a house. But, you know, in the middle of that, I had 911 on the phone. A sheriff come out there. I called him because the guy, a friend of mine, called and told me he's on the way because he was telling everybody he's going to do this. And the sheriff come out there. He took a report, gave me a copy of the restraining order, and left when this guy's on the way to my house. It was so crazy. But during this time, when the guy was kicking his way through my door, and I'm sitting here with a deer rifle loaded, and I'm, you know, I got 911 on the phone, but this guy keeps coming, and I'm saying, you know, I'm thinking in my head, oh God, why? Oh God, why are you putting me through this? You know, and I'm not even a Christian, but I caught myself calling out to God, and all of a sudden, everything just went quiet. I mean, I could still see glass flying. I could still see the door bowing in where the guy was trying to kick his way in. But everything just went silent. And the Archangel Michael, I didn't even know who he was. I did not study. It took me 8 months to figure out who this angel was. I knew it was a very powerful angel. But I've never thought about angels, y'all. I mean, I've heard of Gabriel, I've heard of St. Peter, you know, but never Michael. But when he appeared, I mean, he was over me, and this peace come over because I was so scared. I mean, my knees were shaking. I was about to hit the ground, and this peace come over me, and all I could think was, oh wow, oh my gosh, I just wish the whole world could feel this peace that I'm feeling right now. And he said to me, called me by my name. He said, look, you're going to have to take care of this. If you don't, this guy is going to unalive somebody tonight. That's going to mess up our plan for things, and you need to be humble. Now, I really didn't understand what he meant, but he showed me like a movie in my head, that what would happen if I wouldn't have taken care and protected myself. Because, I mean, it's going to be one way or the other. You know, but what he showed me, if I would not have, you know, got the strength to protect myself and defend my life, I see myself laying in my yard under a tree, unalive. I seen them get my deer rifle and take off to this girl that he was jealous over. I seen him taking off to her house with my gun. He was my pew pew. He was going to unalive her, and then I seen him slide up to a roadblock. I seen him get out of the car, put my weapon over the hood, shoot. One got cop in the shoulder, and then the other cop right in the chest. And then I come back to myself. So what he said was, if you don't handle this, you know, it's going to somebody's going to be on live that's going to mess up our plan for things. I never thought they worked that way. But I seen the whole thing play out, and I come back to myself. When I come back to myself and the situation and everything that's going on, I was a whole new person. I was not. I was not scared. I was not shaking no more. I told him one last time, I said, if you come through that door, I'm going to blow you away. And he did. I had to do what I had to do. But, you know, that this angel, Michael, I did not know who he was. I mean, okay, I unloaded my weapon. I lived in a close quarter neighborhood trailer park. Nobody ever looked outside. This whole thing was at midnight, and it took, you know, 3 to 5 minutes, and you can hear this weapon. I got very loud, and I 11 times I fired, and then nobody stuck their head out. The cop left. I called my brother. He would not, and my brother would never even let me. He was just 2 blocks away. I called him, told him that they were coming. He just, oh man, they ain't coming. Like he was asleep, and he just brushed it off. So all the reasons for somebody to be there when this happened, nobody was there. It was like it was meant to be. I had 911 on the phone. Now they heard everything. I never done a day in jail for it. It was totally, self-protection. But when that happened, and it sounds bad, and I don't tell people this, but ever since that happened, I've become kind of an empath. I mean, I don't brag about it, I don't tell anybody, but I thought I'd share it here. I mean, when you get into a life or death, a life or unalive situation, you don't be surprised if you become a little bit of an empath and kind of know things. I mean, because it can happen. So, life is crazy, and I'm not trying to brag. When he told me to be humble, the last thing Michael told me, I didn't understand it. But what he meant was, I thought he meant don't be bragging. You're going to get through this. You're not going to, get in trouble. Do what you have to do. But what he meant was, you've been arrogant all your life, strutting around thinking you're with your mullet, thinking you're the God's gift to women. I'm 55 years old. Just happened back in 2015. But it helps to share these kind of things. I appreciate y'all letting me share, and I just wanted to share that with y'all. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming up. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Real quick, everybody. If you're new here, we do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained stories, which is just weird shit in general. We also do glitch in the matrix stories. We'll take a good troll story as long as it's good. It better be funny if you're going to come up and troll. Make me laugh, or you've got to go. Guys, tap the screen, keep tapping. Let's get up to 40,000 likes. Also, I want to let you guys know we have a Discord you can join. You can get access to that immediately by clicking the little gold star and subscribing to the channel. You also get access to a whole bunch of really cool emojis that I made myself. And if you're into all sorts of woo-woo and tarot readings and Ouija board sessions, we'll be doing that also in the Discord. So definitely hit the subscribe button, join the community. It's a great way to support the channel and also be part of all the weird shit we do over there, because we do a lot of weird shit. It's really fun. Very entertaining, especially on the weekends when we're all just hanging around being a bunch of nerds with nothing to do. We get on the Discord. We do.
Yeah, we have fun.
So I invited a friend of mine who actually has a paranormal show down in California. He just has to re-download TikTok because he didn't stop and things, and yeah. But hopefully he's going to come on too. He's got some interesting stories.
Yeah, very cool. All right, guys, spam the chat with all the emojis. Throw some Bigfoot out there. Throw some Mothman. I'm gonna do a lizard man because I haven't done one in a long time. Where's that lizard man at? It's actually a slee stack. I know a lot of you young folk won't recognize the slee stack, but the slee stack is it's a majestic creature from a 1970s TV show. It's the Lizard Man here, though. Sleestack has a new job. He now portrays the Lizard Man on my stream. So anytime we get reptilian stories, which we don't get many, we should get more reptilian stories. Fill the chat full of Lizard Man and yeah, Land of the Lost. There you go.
For
Somebody
a
knew
second,
it.
I was thinking Doctor Who, but because they have similar things, but it doesn't look like a Raxacoricofallapatorian, so yeah. Try to
Nope,
say
it
that
is
3
a
times
simple
fast.
Sleestack. He is a simple creature, but yet very majestic. Harry's throwing out some Sleestacks. Very cool, you guys. All right, we got a couple of people waiting. I think we have one person waiting. We'll see. We'll see what they have for us. They have a spooky story. Hello, welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, not much. How about you?
Hanging in there. So, I've got a couple of stories, and they kind of tie into each other. So, my mother's side of our family has always thought that they've had, some kind of psychic-ish ability. Okay. And I've always noticed through life, picking up on things, and especially having crazy paranormal experiences. But so one of the things I remember, and I'll start off kind of lighthearted because it's going to get kind of dark by the end of this. But so when I was a kid, I remember falling asleep one night, and I had this vivid dream where the only thing I was doing was reading a local newspaper. And I'm from New York, so the front cover of the newspaper showed the logo of one of the baseball teams out here and a giant special leaf behind it saying that members of that team were partaking in that kind of leaf. And sure enough, a few days later, that was the newspaper that was on the shelves. So, little weird scenes, experience little things like that. One of the other times, though, that I experienced this was I had gone on vacation with my father, and we had come back, and we were driving home, and we were driving through the town where my grandmother's assisted living home was. And it was set up where, like, she had her own apartment, but it was like, she had a live-in kind of like nurse situation going on. And I just got a strong feeling I needed to see my grandmother. I was like, you know what? We haven't seen her in a while. Tap my dad on the shoulder. Hey, you think we could go see, Grandma? He's like, yeah, sure. Why not? So we go over to see her, and she just was not doing well. Just was not doing well at all. Now, I don't know if it was just me missing my grandmother, or if it was I had some kind of intuition thing going on. I don't know what it was, but she wasn't doing good, and we ended up having to call an ambulance. And when she was in the hospital, I was next to her bed, and I just burst out into tears because I just had this strong feeling that this is probably the last time I'm going to see my grandmother. And she held my hand and told me everything was going to be okay, that she would see me again, that, there's nothing to be worried about. And a couple days later, when we went to go see her, she had passed at that point. And it's just, like I said, I've experienced things where I just get a strong feeling about something, and then it something happens. But my mother had an experience, and this is where it gets kind of dark.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, just make sure you watch your language so we don't get in trouble.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay. So I actually do have to watch my language with this because I can't I think I got to be careful about certain names and places and whatnot. So my mother, when she was a teenage girl, had a best friend, and she had set up plans to do a sleepover. Now, my mother started walking over to her friend's house, and this is back when where I live now is, used to be farmland. It used to be, so I'm on Long Island. Half of Long Island was like farmland, right? So they were still payphones, and my mother stopped at a payphone because she just got a really bad feeling. And she felt like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't go over to my friend's house tonight. She calls up her friend after getting this strong urge. And she tells her friend, listen, I just can't hang out tonight. I don't know what it is. I cannot hang out tonight. And her friend was telling her, oh, no, what do you mean? Come on, we're going to have so much fun. And my mother said, yeah, no, I just, you know what, we'll do the sleepover another night. I really feel like I have to go home. And her friend had turned around and said, well, it's dark outside. Like, you're afraid of walking home alone in the dark. Like, you're closer to my house. Just come over. And my mom was like, yeah, no, I don't know what it is. I can't come over. I'm sorry. And my mother hangs up the payphone and she walks home. Now, while all of this was going on, my mother's friend's father owned a business that sold hardscaping, like like stone statues and stuff for your front lawn and garden and stuff like that. He had stayed overnight at work because something, or he had to take care of some extra work, and he hears something moving out in outside, where his office is, and he looks out. And there are two masked men. These masked men are robbing the place. And the masked men had entered the office room armed. And this gentleman, the father of my mother's friend, had unalived these individuals. He took their ski masks off and realized that it was his business partner and 15-year-old son. Now, at this point, he had snapped. He realized that his daughter and his other kids, that he had this idea that he was going to go to prison for the rest of his life, and that his kids were going to go back to their mother, and there were some issues with the mom, or at least he thought there were some issues with the mom where the kids would not be okay going to live with the mother if, God forbid, he went to jail for defending himself. He went home, he unalived all of his kids, and then he unalived himself. And if my mother had not gotten that weird feeling that something was off and something was wrong, didn't call her friend and say that she wasn't going over, and didn't turn around and walk home in the dark when she normally would never do that because she was afraid of walking home in the dark, my mother would have been alive as well. And I don't know where that comes from. I don't know why that side of my family has that kind of intuition. But it's something that it pops up randomly. You just get a weird urge about something, and you hope that nothing's going to happen, but if it does, you're not surprised. And those are my stories. And I'm sorry I got a little dark there, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really awful. I don't really know what to say to that, but you told the story well. Yeah, that's really messed up.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Anytime. And yeah, I mean, my mother, after the fact, I mean, she said it was, it was difficult, but it's been years now, so I think she's come to terms with it. But it's just, like I said, for whatever reason, that side of the family, we just, you get a bad feeling, pay attention.
Yeah, like what Ellie said, like thank goodness your mom's okay. Because I was about to ask you, I was like, well, how's your mom? Because that's kind of like traumatic, even if you're experienced, if you have premonitions, things, um, and you have these gifts and you recognize these gifts early on, it's still something like that is still trauma. We're human, we can't really get away from it.
Of course.
Like, it doesn't matter how magical you are, it's still going to affect you. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad like your mom heard that voice, because you know what? It's quite convincing. If it's dark, you're afraid to go back home like that, and it's your best friend's place. Yeah, it could be difficult.
I think everybody, to an extent, has some type of abilities in regards to things like premonition or what people would consider gut instinct. I feel as though everybody has the ability to tap into these different psychic natures. It's just a matter of how they were brought up, how they were programmed, so forth and so on, as to how open they are to actually tap into it.
Yeah, and you see, like I've heard so many people call it so many different things. I've heard the religious say it's the Holy Spirit or guardian angel. I've heard that it's psychic intuition, that it's that there's some otherworldly reason for it. But it's just when when you experience it, it's just stops you right in your tracks, that's, you got to pay attention to this. And it's weird
fight or
because
flight.
and like I've heard so many stories from other people that have that kind of thing, and it's just like I said, but listen, I want to thank you for asking about my mom, by the way. She is okay. She is okay. But it's just, it's she said that it did mess her up for a bit. But she, it's just I mean, you hear something like that and you don't believe it, and I've seen the newspaper articles. Like it's crazy.
No, we believe it.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying about you guys. I'm saying, like, when I heard it, it was almost like,
oh
yeah. When I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that doesn't even, like, what are you talking about? Like, that's insane. Are you okay? Like, what? But then part of you is like, oh my god, wait a second, like that is such a wild story, and like you see the newspaper articles and stuff, and the stuff that happened, and it's just like, it's crazy. It's just it's nuts. But
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Anytime, and guys, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Let's see. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get up to 50,000 likes if we can. Get out there on the FYP and keep the people coming. We got Aaron, I believe, is next up.
Hello there.
Hello, welcome. Hello, Aaron. Are you with us?
I am, yes.
Oh, cool. You got a spooky story for us?
I do. I have a lot, but I was going to tell you one of my earliest ones. When I was little, I had a lot of weird experiences. I had a lot of friends that I talked to that I saw that no one did. A lot of in and out of body experiences when I slept. Anyways, and when I was about 4 or 5, we moved into a different house. And I would wake up and there'd be a little girl next to me. She was like knelt down with her like hands on her chin, just looking right at me. And she had long, dark, curly hair, dark eyes. She was around my age, and she was breathing really hard. That's the thing that I remember the most, is that her breathing was really hard. And I remember even at that age thinking that's odd that I can hear the breathing. So anyways, when she would visit, I guess, I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I would a lot of times would wake up and look right at her in the eyes, and she's breathing hard, and I would kind of turn around and pretend I was sleeping until I got up the nerve to jump out of my room and go lay in my parents' bed, type of thing. And my mom never like dismissed me, which later on I found out she was seeing stuff too. But years went by, and we were actually moving out of that house. I'd been out of the house for a while, and our neighbors who had lived there the whole time we lived there were saying their goodbyes, and they were talking to me about our houses, and they're telling us that our houses were like the first 2 houses built in this area, and he remembers this and that about it. And he starts talking about my house and how a single dad lived there with 2 daughters, and he had a daughter who passed from asthma. And I kind of stood there. I'm in my 20s at this time, and I asked what she looked like, and he described this girl to the T. Long dark hair, long dark curly hair, Anyways, and I told him my story. I just gasped and told him my story, and I expected him to kind of, but he didn't make fun of me or anything like that. Later on, he ends up showing me a picture. It was her, 100%, no doubt in my mind. I still don't know what to think about all that. I mean, I think now she just wanted to play, honestly. I wondered if she was my guardian angel. A lot of people have said that. But yeah, I think it was just somebody that passed on there at a young age and just saw somebody her own age that had an open mind, but I was just so scared. I felt almost bad that I never gave her the chance, but yep, that's one of my scary stories. So.
Oh, wow. That's a really cool one.
Yeah.
Did you have some more that you wanted to share with us?
Oh, God. I think I'll just stop with that one. I know this sounds weird, but every time I start talking about them, it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
I've came up here a few times and kind of stopped, came up here, stopped. But I will definitely tell you another story, maybe even tonight. But I have like some weird Ouija board stories and stuff like that happen. My sister and me are avid ghost hunters, and so we have so many stories. I would actually have to think of one too. Which one I'd want to tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Well, we appreciate you, and we look forward to hearing some more of your stories.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
All right, guys. Guest box is open. Yeah. Ooh, wow.
Yes.
The guest box is open, guys. This is your chance if you've been waiting and you want to tell us a spooky story. It can be about any of these topics: paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, weird shit in general, which we categorize as just unexplained, glitch in the matrix. Feel free to hop in the box, come up here, share your story with us. We do accept troll stories, but they have to be really good. So chances are,
Dude, when you said that the first time, I thought that was an actual troll you were talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the closest I come to that is I know people that could pass as trolls that live under the bridge, but I never met them.
When it gets slow in here, we've decided to just let the trolls come up and shoot their shot and see what happens. But it's got to be good or they get kicked. So, hello, Spooky.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I have one that I've never really told anybody but my mom. My mom knows about it, and she also kind of seen the same thing. My mom was a single mom, and she lived with her mom and my grandfather for most of my life. I believe I was about 7 when my grandmother passed away. My mom had started dating, and we all lived in one trailer. It was me, my grandmother, my mom, and my sister. And when we lived in the trailer, my grandmother was really sick. She was on oxygen 24/7. She had worked in a factory, and like I said, I never told anybody about this except my mom, and my mom had seen the same thing. My mom had just started dating again. She went a while without dating, and she finally found somebody. And my grandmother was really sick. Like I said, she worked on a factory. She had a lot of emphysema, a lot of breathing problems. She was on oxygen. She couldn't leave the house without it. She couldn't sleep without it. And she had gotten sick. Really sick. Her birthday had passed. Her birthday was in the same month. And the only reason why I know this because it was 7 days after her birthday, and it was Mother's Day weekend. And she woke up, and she was like a second mom to me. My mom had taken us out when we were little to buy her gifts for Mother's Day. Not just my mom buying our gifts, but me and my sister. My sister's 3 years younger than me. And we woke up, we went in her room, and we went to give her the gifts, and she said, "I need you to go get your grandfather." And we went in the room, we got a grandfather. My grandfather came out onto the porch, and she said, "I need an ambulance." And an ambulance was called, and they were on their way. My mom's now husband, they were dating at the time, he showed up to the house to get me and my sister, so my mom could follow behind the ambulance with my grandfather. It was Mother's Day morning. All of the gifts were on her bed, and the ambulance took her away. And he came and got me and my sister and took us shopping. We were walking around the store. And I remember in the store I said, "Something is wrong. This ain't right." I looked at him, I said, "She's gone." And I kept explaining to him that she was gone. And this is kind of like a long story, but like I said, I've never even told this. And she did pass. When we were in the store, he had gotten a phone call, and she did pass. We actually met my grandfather and my mother in the middle of a parking lot, a couple blocks down from the hospital, and I had already known that she had passed. Move forward, my grandfather moved out of the house after her death and gave my mother the trailer. We lived in a trailer park. And me and my sister had always slept on bunk beds. She was younger, and she slept on the bottom, and I slept on the top. The bunk beds had no bars at the top. And I don't know if I was dreaming. I swear I wasn't dreaming at the time. But I know I was about to fall off the bed. And I was pushed into my grandmother's room. After my grandfather had moved out, he gave us the trailer, signed it into my mother's name, and he moved in with us. He's now my stepdad. He moved in to help my mother raise us and take care of us. My grandfather had moved on and moved into his own place. I was laying in bed, and it was like I was like falling off the bunk bed, like I had rolled, and I felt shoved. And when I felt shoved, I could hear her voice, "It's okay, sweetie, I'm still watching you." I got up, I screamed, I started crying. And my mom ran into my room. And my mom said that she had heard my grandmother in the hallway, which it's a trailer. There's not much room in the trailer. And she said she heard my grandmother in the hallway coughing. And she knew it was her. Fast forward to a couple of years later, I got really close to his side of the family. And my uncle had been diagnosed with bone cancer. My real dad lived in West Virginia, and my dad had custody of us over the summer. And when I moved, or when I had come to visit my dad, my uncle had gotten really bad. And my uncle told us, "I'll be here when you get back. You know, you'll come see us." You know, just we were really close. And he had girls as well. So we really got close to his family because the girls were in my school. We all grew up together. A week before I got to come home, I woke up one morning and I called my mom and I said, "Mom, something's wrong. How's Uncle Brian? You know, something don't feel right." And she said, he's fine. You know, he's doing better." And I said, "Okay, I'll be home in a week." Well, the court order was to meet in PA. We met. I said goodbye to my dad, and I went with my mom and my stepdad. And when we went together and he picked us up, he said, he broke down crying, and he said, "I don't know how you knew, but the day you had called, we had gotten the phone call that your uncle was found in bed, and he had passed on." I never could explain it. This is the third time I've predicted a family's death, or when they have gotten close to death. And it's been very weird, but my grandmother has always hit home, especially with her visiting me in her old house.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear about all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really close to me. She had raised me and my sister. Like, my mom has always lived with her since me and my sister were born.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really tough.
Yeah, I wanted to share that. Somebody came up here earlier talking about death, and it kind of really brought it up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never shared that story. My mom knows about it, and my stepdad knows about it, about my uncle. But other than that, I've never really told anybody about, what happened when I was a child.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you sharing it with us, and we really appreciate you. And um, yeah, thank you
We
for coming up. And go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, uh, we love your stories, and we really liked when you came up last time and showed us that picture and everything. We were talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
I plan on going back here soon. I'm in the middle of moving right now, so I haven't really gotten to visit. But I mean, as soon as I get more pictures and updates of that place, I am more than welcome to share.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Come back, and if you catch anything, show us what you got. We'd love to see it.
Oh, I sure will. Thank you guys.
Alrighty. Thank you so
thank
much
you.
for coming up. All right, guys. Tap that screen. Let's get to, let's see, what are we at? 55. Let's get to 1 billion.
Oh,
I always set completely unattainable goals for the like system.
yeah.
uh, God,
Yeah.
can you
But next
imagine
you'd
how
be the
many
very
guests we
top.
would?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it?
And
Uh,
you'd be the very top, the number one on the For You page if it was that many.
yeah, we definitely have a lot of guests then. We would be completely overloaded. um, yeah, so get to tapping, guys. We're a long way from 1 billion. I'm just kidding. Your fingers will fall off probably if we, but I'd appreciate it. Like, it'd be cool. We'd have plenty of ghost stories. If that happened, I would do like a 24-hour marathon. I would just stay on here until I fell over. So this
And
is
it's
going to
fine.
be
Your
like
fingers will
when,
grow back anyway. So
yeah, yeah, they always grow back because I'm a reptilian apparently.
Mhm.
Like when Chris told you guys that he would eat a worm and then he didn't. Did you guys forget about that? I'm over here like, get us to 1 billion and I'll do a 24-hour live stream. Yeah, so I better not do
yeah.
that.
Well,
All
I
right.
mean, it's okay though because me and Ali are gonna oil up and do the Ouija board over over on the Discord. So uh, just throwing that out there really quick, guys. We do have that. We do have the subscription down in the bottom left corner, and you can get into the Discord, and we have a lot of fun over there. But that's just one
Oily
of
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just one of the events coming up.
Well, I don't know how to follow that up, so let's just bring on our next guest.
My God, was I not on mute?
Oh no, you were
No,
muted if we didn't hear you.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Did
God, y'all did not hear me because I was just like baby talking my cats.
oh,
No, you're good, Ollie. Hello,
Welcome
hello,
back,
Frank.
Ella.
Welcome back. Hello, Frank. Are you with us?
Oh,
Accidental,
I'm so
maybe.
sorry. Did I hit the join button?
Yeah, was
I
it an
actually didn't mean
accident?
to. I was listening to them. But
Oh,
I
okay.
will tell you this: uh, my encounter with a Sasquatch in Bankhead Forest just got released by uh, Sasquatch Theory on YouTube, and it's got 27,000 views 901 comments. I'm blown away by that. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the join button.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Say something about it.
I had an encounter with a Sasquatch in 2017 after what I just told you guys that happened about the guy coming to my house. It gave me crippling PTSD, and I just resorted to the woods. I should have went and got some professional help, but I didn't. I just, man, I'm gonna handle it myself. Down here in the South, just the way you do it. So I just resorted to going to the woods to find my peace, solitude. So I was there a lot, and I had an encounter with a Sasquatch. It was around me for 3 days. I was on a management hunt in Bankhead National Forest, and it was a 3-day hunt. And the first morning, I'm going to a place I've been hunting for like 10 years, and these two doe, yearlings. I think they were probably twins, because I say that because a doe would drop two at a time. They really were the same size. They looked alike, and they come down in front of me, and they went down the hollow and down there to get water at some waterfalls that were down here at the end of this hollow I was hunting. The place I was hunting on the management area by myself. I hunted a long time, and I accidentally found the green field by using the map, but apparently nobody else knew about it. I was down there, and I seen, like, for 10 years I seen like two people. One person I brought with me, the other guy stumbled on it, and I never seen anybody else. But anyway, so these two, opening morning of this 3-day hunt, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, these two doe come down right in front of me. They were, like I said, they were really small, and they done like all the deer always do. They come out of their bedding area. They fed across the green field. They went down the hollow. They foraged for acorns or whatever. Get water. They forage back, and they'll go back to their bedding areas. It's like clockwork. Well, so I don't see anything else that morning. It's opening day. And I go to my house, and I don't live far from Bankhead or the place I'm hunting. So I run back to my house at lunch, because you don't hunt really in the middle of the day, just nothing moving unless the rut's on. But I went back, I got lunch, and I come back to hunt the evening hunt. And it was a buck or a doe. You could harvest a buck or a doe, either one. And if you don't like hunting, I'm sorry, but I mean, venison's really good, and I've just come up that way. But anyway, so that evening, very out of character. As soon as when I got back, after about 20 minutes, about 1 o'clock, these two doe that I'd seen that morning come running back towards me on my side of the ridge. And I thought a buck was chasing them, but they're really too young to be breeding age. And number two, they just look really spooky. They look like a predator was chasing them. We don't have anything like that. The only thing we got here is like coyotes. We don't have any bears. We don't have any wolves. We might have a bobcat. But anyway, they were running at me, and I don't know, I just instinctively thought a buck was chasing them, but there wasn't a buck behind them. I was looking behind them. They come right up to where I was sitting, because I was sitting on the ground behind a fell down cedar tree. And they run up to me, and they stopped. And they looked at me, and they put their head down like they were like, and they just look around, and they looked at me. This lasted about 5 seconds. And I was like, what's going on? I'm looking behind them. I don't see anything. But animals are strange, and they do strange things. This was funny and out of character, but I wasn't thinking nothing about it at this time. But they started trotting off, and they busted off into a run back to their bedding area. Well, okay, so didn't see anything else that day. So this is a 3-day hunt. That was Friday, and this is Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I come back, back to the same stand, because it's a really good place, you know, and I've got it by myself. And like I said, I was just kind of giving myself therapy by staying in the woods. But anyway, so I come back, and about 8:30, here come a big doe down through there. She's healthy. She's by herself, you know. I'm fixing to freeze. I'm fixing to fill my freezer up. So I had a 30-30. I've been using it. I used it forever, and I had a chance to harvest her by not uh, messing up her innards, because I was going to have to clean her and field dress her, and so I didn't want to shoot her and cause a bunch of damage inside because it's really messy. So I had a chance to just one shot in the ear. She went down, no problem, just and so I continued to take care of her, which I mean by that is clean her. So I just took my knife and I unzipped her, reached up and cut her windpipe and her anal tube right back there by her anus inside, and everything come out in one pile. Is what I'm saying. So, but I didn't have a cart. I didn't have no way to get her out, so I had to throw her over my shoulder and carry her up this hill. And this all comes together here. But so anyway, that's the only way I could get her out. But I had on my hunter's orange. It's public land. You got to wear a hunter's orange. I mean, it's a bunch of people there that don't know what they're doing. It's public land. There's just a bunch of idiots on public land. But anyway, so me carrying this deer out, and I had to throw her like over my shoulder to get her up this hill. So I got, what blood I did get on me. I got it mostly on my hunter's orange vest that I had on. So I get her up in the green field. I finally get her to the truck. And so it's about 11 o'clock. I harvested her about 8:30. So by the time I got to the truck, back all the way back, drug her and everything, it was about 11:30. So I'm going to take her to the processor. I'm going to go by my house, get something to eat, buy a couple bottles of water, and go back and hunt the evening hunt. Like that's going to do. And so I did that. And I went back to the same place, which is the hollow in the beginning is where I was hunting, and it's not very big there. So I walked right across the place where I had took care of that doe earlier, and so, but the gut pile was gone. I mean, the whole thing was gone. And I was looking for it, and I was looked down. I seen the hair where I'd cleaned her. I seen, the blood stuff that was just left there from what I'd done. I knew I was at the right place. And but the whole thing was gone. Like something picked it up and carried it off. At the time, I thought, wow, what a pack of coyotes come in here and gobbled all that up, man. While I was just gone, I was worried. I was sitting on the ground. This is what I'm thinking, because at the time, the whole thing being gone, that's the only thing I could think of. But there was no leaves messed up. There were no pieces. There was no, coyotes come in and ravish something like that. They're going to mess the leaves up. It's going to be a whole scene, But I wasn't thinking that at the time. So I sat down. I didn't see anything that evening, anything else. So okay, I come back this next day, Sunday. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday hunt, for a buck or a doe. So I come in Sunday morning, did the same thing. About 10:30, I had been sitting in the woods down, and been hunting hard, and I was really tired of sitting there, and it was the last day of the hunt. So I was going to go to the end of this green field, which is about a mile, and hunt on my way there by stalk hunting, because they planned in a zigzag so to accommodate more hunters, but I had it to myself. So you could go down the curve, might be a deer stand there, but I'm still after a buck, but I'm really about through hunting. I wanted to go down to the end of this field and see these waterfalls. I didn't know there was waterfalls down there to start with. My buddy had told me about it, so I just want to go down there and see them, and just walk in the woods basically. So I did, and I get down there, and sure enough, hit the fast forward button. I'm sorry, I just don't leave out any details, but I'll get to it now. So I go down to the end of this field. And when I get down there, the hollow's real big, and I'm looking across the hollow, and sure enough, over there, these big, beautiful waterfalls. And yeah, I got to paint a picture out. And you know they're really pretty. And I mean, Bankhead's known for waterfalls and Sasquatch encounters. Come to find out, I didn't know, but anyway. So I'm sitting there and just thinking about the hunt. It's really pretty. It's you know last of January, end of February. I mean, 1st of February. And I lit a cigarette. I'm sitting on a log. I'm looking at these waterfalls way across there. I'm kind of taking it all in. All of a sudden, something right behind me stepped on a limb and snapped. And I mean, you know, I could tell you if it's a little twig it breaks or if it's a limb, piece of broom handle or whatever, just by the sound. I mean, but it was loud enough that it startled and scared me. And I'm right-handed, and it was behind me to my right. You know, at about my 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock position, I could not spin around. I instinctively come up with my rifle, but I could not spin around to the right because I'm right-handed. I had to turn all the way around to my left. When I turned around, all the way, what I seen was it was gray. Its shoulders were 4 foot wide. Its head it had a little head. I say it looked like a football helmet on top of a refrigerator compared to its body size. And you know, you get in fight or flight mode, as they say. I'm not bad by any means, but I was hunting already. I just instinctively pulled my gun. If I wasn't in flight mode, let's put it like that. And it must have snapped that limb to see what I was. I think it smelled blood on my hunter's orange and stalked up there to me. And you know, and I think it snapped the limb to make me move to see if I was a wounded deer or whatever. And I just instinctively, when it seen me and seen that gun, it had enough sense to know that, you know, what that thing done when it went off and what happened. But it automatically turned and took off and lunged itself down this hill to try to get away from me the way I come up. It was so silent coming up, and it was so big, I didn't hear it, and all the leaves were off the ground, so I believe it intentionally snapped the limb. Looking back, I should have known it wasn't a bunch of coyotes come down there and got that gut pile. I know something that it looked like something picked it up and walked off with it, and I believe that's what happened. Those 2 deer, you know, there wasn't no only predator we got down there. Nothing would have been chasing them in the middle of the day like that, except for maybe one of these things. I think that this Sasquatch, and I don't can't even usually say the word, but that's what it was, and I believe it. I got the feeling it was a young male that was either looking for its own territory or got kicked out or separated from its family unit, maybe by all the hunters going, you know, back in the woods, because it looked ratty, it looked mangy, it looked like it was like starving, hungry, and you know, when it happened, I thought it was going to attack me. That back in 2017, I had a lot of time to think of it. Now I believe it. Now I believe it was hungry. You know, because if it ever wanted to hurt me, it could have got me a long time ago, man. It was so fast, and to be so big. I mean, it was huge. It had a barrel, stomach, chest, looked like it was huge. It looked like it weighed 700-800 pounds. And didn't never look like it could move like it did. Its arms were so long, and when it was running it away, it looked like it was sitting in a chair, using its back legs mostly, and had its arms out in front of it, just like it was just fingertips touching every now and then, like it wasn't even using its arms and its hands, big hands. Its fingers looked like looked like a rack of bananas. I mean, or whatever you call a bunch of bananas when you buy them. You know, it's just crazy. And didn't, it didn't register what it was to start with. I never thought anything about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or anything else. And I was puzzled. And with about 20 steps, you know, walking back to my truck, still thinking, you know, I'm having a brain cramp. I know what this is. I just can't think of it. But then within about 20, 30 steps, man, I knew what it was because we just don't have anything that big or nothing. So, I mean, I walk out. I'm still puzzled, but I'm starting to get scared walking down the middle of this field. Or, you know, about halfway to my truck, and I'm figuring out what it is, you know, and wondering if I seen it run away. It went down. It went up the side of those waterfalls. It never looked back. It never checked up. But I don't know. Just somehow I knew it wasn't anymore. It just seemed like it was by itself. But anyway, I got to the gate when I went out to my truck, and the game warden was there. The last day of the hunt, he was checking license. There's a few more people there, and I mean, I wasn't scared to say nothing. I asked the game warden. I said, "Hey, do y'all have Sasquatch, Bigfoot in this forest or something like?" And he says, uh, "No, no." I said, "You must have seen a feral dog. They used to deer hunt up here with dogs, and a bunch of them got left up here, and we got a bunch of feral dogs." I said, "Come on, man, you ain't got no dog as big as what I've seen." I just stopped talking to him, but anyway, I didn't say anything to anybody because of what he reacted, and you know, giggles, and the guys that were up there heard it too. There's a couple of more hunters. They just looked at me like I was crazy, kind of giggled. So I didn't really tell anybody until but I watched YouTube and everything on it, and I got to watching, you know, Bigfoot Odyssey. I shared my encounter with Carry On back 2022, and then here recently I shared it with Miguel from Sasquatch Theory. What's up, Utah? What's up,
That's
Kyle?
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, he's got 83,000 subscribers and 27,000 views, 900 something comments.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty good.
I seen Kyle coming through here, Utah Paranormal. If y'all want some stories, if y'all want some video, y'all want to see real paranormal activity, follow Kyle with Utah Paranormal. He's
All
been
right.
haunted. He's
Alrighty,
been
well, we
haunted himself.
appreciate you coming up. We do
Yeah,
have some
thank you.
people waiting, but
Yeah,
thank
go
you for
ahead.
coming up.
Put me down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, hang in there in the box. We're getting to you. Everybody tap the screen. Let's try to get up to 65 trillion likes. Just because. Hello, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, got a spooky story for us?
I do. Can I shamelessly plug my social media real quick?
I guess.
So I'm Rosie Takes on TikTok and Nomadic Babe on YouTube channel. So if you're into the outdoors or camping, animals, spirituality, check me out. Or you could just enjoy my experience that I'm about to share. So, little backstory. I'm a full-time nomad. I've been traveling the U.S. for about 4 years now, and I often stay out in BLM land or national parks, state parks, and I'd never had an experience until my second year out. And so basically, I was staying at a very rural state park outside of a major Texas city, and I've been towing a Jeep, and I went to get my Jeep fixed. And so it took a long time to get the repair started, and I was Ubering back to the state park late at night. I like walking in the dark, and I've been raised out in the country, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. Especially that night, it was pretty. The moon was pretty bright. It wasn't a full moon yet, but almost. And so I elected to go ahead and just have the Uber driver drop me off at the state park gates. And I went to walk the quarter mile to my campsite where my RV was at the campsite. And the first half was fine. It was a lovely night. It was not too dark, as I said, with the moon kind of shining down on my pathway. And on either side of this pretty wide road was all woody. And so I'm listening to some owls and just normal little rustles in the forest. And then I was feeling fine, totally comfortable, and then out of nowhere I got this feeling that I'm being watched. And I brush it off. I'm thinking it's probably an animal and it'll pass by, or I'll pass by it, and then I'll get that eerie feeling will leave me. But it just kind of continued. And so I start to hear footsteps in the woods. And I stop and I look, but I don't see anything, and I don't hear the footsteps anymore. Carry on again about maybe 20 paces, and I start to hear the footsteps again. And just really wasn't too concerned about it, thinking at that point maybe it was an animal, or maybe I'm just getting spooked. And I started paying more attention, because every 20 steps, it would pick up again. And then I noticed, am I still connected? Huh, the audio cut out.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And so, as I said, I started to listen a little more, so I kept going. And sure enough, every 20 steps, it would pick up again. Like something was following me and keeping up, but not walking the whole time. And so I start to think, like, maybe it's a child or a teenager playing around. It's close to Halloween, and sometimes that does happen. And the footsteps, they sounded really light and just small. I can't describe it any other way. Like, just whatever it was small. And I know what four-legged animals sound like deer or cats, and I just started to think it's definitely not one of those. And like a 19 CAG said, sometimes some of us get these bad feelings. And I'm trying to brush it off, but like the hair on my arms and the back of my neck is just standing straight up. And I'm thinking, this has got to be something, because that's just not usual for me. I've heard noises. I've even heard bobcats and foxes before. And sure, it creeps you out the first time, but then if you're around that a lot, you just get used to it. This was not that. And so I start to quicken my step. And as I move, the footsteps quicken. And I get back. I'm coming around the bend, almost to my campsite, and I just take off at a sprint. And I don't hear anymore. And so I got my big dog out of the RV. She'd been waiting there. Had to take her out for her walk. And she didn't notice anything, and I didn't hear the footsteps anymore, and I didn't feel creeped out. So I just went to sleep and totally forgot about it. And that night it was comfortable enough. It was almost October, or almost Halloween, end of October, and had all my windows open. And so I went off to sleep. Like I said, I didn't see anything. At that point, it just seemed like whatever it was had gone on its way. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I wake up to some more footsteps, but it's behind my RV this time. And it still sounds light, but it sounds like something is definitely creeping. It's kind of like slower footsteps than when I was walking. And then all of a sudden I hear this blood-curdling, creepy, like demonic cackling almost. I'm not even going to try to imitate it. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And it was loud too. It was like the footsteps sounded like whatever it was far away. far enough away for me to feel fairly safe. But after I heard that, my dog woke up and I couldn't hear anything for like 2 or 3 minutes because she was just going off. And by this time, both of us are in the middle of the RV on the floor, just shaking like leaves. And she's a big dog. She's a hunting dog. She doesn't get scared that easily. And so that has me even more freaked out because my dog is scared too. And so we're just sitting there listening to see if there's anything else that we can hear outside. And I can hear something like touching my screens, just lightly, just kind of walking around the RV from the back to the side, all the way around to the front. And then that was it. There's nothing else. Yeah, and I did go out there, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes later, because it was the creepiest sound. I just cannot even describe to you how that just makes your blood pressure drop. And
That sounded like a scream.
it was like more like a cackling. It wasn't a scream. It was like this blood curdling, like demonic cackling. Maybe demonic's the wrong word. I don't know, whatever it was, it sounded small. Again, like that kind of fits with the footsteps. And there was nothing out there. I didn't get a weird feeling. And so fast forward to the end, the next night we had a campfire, and I lit the campfire, and it was all just very dark. The moon hadn't really come out yet, and we only had the little RV lights out there. And then the fire lit the space, which was all wooded, by the way, and enjoyed the fire. And as the fire started to die down, all of a sudden I get that same feeling like something's watching us. And my dog, again, she reacted to it too. She gets this 50-yard stare, but she's staring like right in front of us on the other side of the campfire. I don't see anything. I go get a flashlight, shine it around in that area. I don't see anything, but she's still staring. And I'm like, what is it, girl? And it's like, it wasn't really that she was guarding at that point yet, but just that she was recognizing that something was there that maybe she could see, but I couldn't. And I don't know if it was my reaction to the dog or whatever, but I started to get the goosebumps again. And then I got really freaked out and went ahead and put out the fire and went to bed. But before I did that, I decided to go ahead and do a time lapse shot of the full moon coming up. So I set a camera out near where the only clearing was, which was like right by this campsite. So the shot actually captured exactly where my dog had been staring. And I didn't think too much about that, honestly. I was just like, that's weird. It was maybe an animal that I couldn't see, because dogs do see animals that we can't see all the time, or they smell them. And so I do a time lapse of the full moon, and I move on to another campsite, kind of go back more towards the city. And I didn't look at the footage until a week later, and a friend wanted to see the footage of the full moon. So I put it on the big screen, and he's like, well, wait a minute, what's that? And I was like, what? And he pointed to like maybe like halfway through the time elapse, there is something that like appears to kind of lean out of the forest, and you can see like a head and some kind of like a chest maybe, and then it disappears. And what was really weird is my motion sensor lights didn't go off for that shot. So usually even small animals would set those little lights off. And so I think I caught some sort of a cryptid. I don't know what kind. And I just wanted to come on tonight because Lodge was saying that sometimes we can call things to us. And 2 months earlier, I'd been reading that book, The Missing 411. I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of that. And it kind of talks about this connection, about like the state parks, national parks, and the connection to possible time travel and or cryptids. And so I thought that was interesting because that did happen in a state park. So Tuesday, don't know what that was. I don't even want to guess. But I do think I had been thinking a lot about that book and some of the experiences where people had witnessed very strange looking creatures, especially at night in the forest. Like there's a part of the book that goes into that and what that could mean. And so ever since then, anytime I go to the national or state parks, it's like always in the back of my mind, like, I wonder if there's something to that.
Sounds like possibly somebody had mentioned either spirits, like nature spirits, or elementals, or something along those lines. That's kind of what it sounds like to me, is that you might have encountered something like that.
Perhaps. Would it be normal to feel like it's a threat?
They're probably, if that's what it is, it's essentially something just kind of, looking out for its area, making sure that everything's kosher and whatnot. So I suppose they could appear as a threat if they're, watching you or trying to keep an eye out on you.
That's interesting. What do you think about the laugh?
That one perplexes me. However, you did mention the fact that you are used to like small animals and stuff, so you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but I have got to ask. What does the fox say?
Sarah's laughing too.
Definitely not that.
Yeah, but I do second Druid on this. When it comes to some sort of like elemental spirits or even elemental fae, they have been known to guard some sacred areas.
Mhm.
Sometimes even the oldest trees, like a mother tree, that would be basically the one parent tree for all these other seedlings, all these other trees that you see for probably 5-10 miles around. I mean, that could also, it's a sacred spot to the earth, to the elements. So it's possible that they want to deter you away from the area because you're human, you're mundane, and they don't want you around there.
You're encroaching on their territory.
Yeah. They don't trust you. Not that you're a bad person or anything like that. Don't take it personal. It's just that's often, nature doesn't see humanity so kindly these days as it used to a long time ago.
That's very interesting. Yeah, definitely the video, that very brief clip, it did look like it was just leaning in to kind of check things out. And then it was gone. So whatever it was definitely coming back and forth and checking things out. And then perhaps what I thought was something walking on two legs could have been an animal, because there are a lot of bobcats in the area, foxes.
If you're concerned that it might possibly be one of the good neighbors with a fair folk, you could always just carry iron on your person.
The good neighbors, the fair folk. And these
The
are
fairies,
different.
the fae, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In regard, elemental fae, or something along those lines, the guardians of the woods, if it were, because according to the different folklores, they're averted to iron. There's different reasons as to why they believe that's the case, but that's what most of your people over in Ireland and whatnot would do to basically repel and protect themselves from the fairies.
Could be. And my dog only barked at the laughter, or the cackle, whatever that was. She didn't feel the need to bark at it. So animals maybe can see more than we can?
Absolutely. They have a different set of perception than we do, especially with cats. That's why a lot of people in the pagan community would keep, why we keep cats is because of their connection with the other world and the world unseen. Some of them are even guardians of the underworld, or those who can lead you to, the underworld. And yes, Josephine, those are the Irish ones. It's druid, but yeah. So the idea that animals can see things we can't, like even those who've passed on, there's a lot of videos where dogs or cats will be staring at a specific spot, growling, or whatever it is that they're doing, that are kind of like warning against it, because there's something there that we can't see that they can see.
Yeah, I second that because my kitty cats, they will bust into my room when there is certain spirit or deity energy coming forward. And they kind of just sit at the edge of my bed and stare towards the altar, ready for it, like, and like respect, as they've never done before. And my God, I'm just like, you couldn't do that for me on a regular basis when I have guests over? So, thank you so much, Rosie, for your story.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
All as well. It's been really interesting to listen to all the stories, and it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that's had weird things happen.
Right on. We appreciate you.
All right, well, that's pretty much all I've got.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, guys, we've got a little less than 30 minutes left in the show for tonight, but fear not, we're here every Sunday and Monday at 11 p.m. Eastern. I had to think about that for a second for some reason, because it didn't sound right in my head as it was coming out of my mouth. It's late. I'm tired. That's probably why. We're here every Sunday and Monday night at 11 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern, of course. So if you got a story that you want to share, now is the time. If you're new here, paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained, glitch in the matrix, those are the types of stories we do. We want to hear your spookiest spooky story, something terrifying, the thing that keeps you awake at night if you think about it too long. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I think about things too much when I go to bed, and then I can't go to sleep. I think we all do that probably. Let's tap the
Yeah.
screen, get some people in here. Whoo, we got a big list of people waiting.
Hello, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, welcome.
Hey, welcome.
So, yeah, when I was 10 years old, so do you remember that show, Sightings?
Sure do.
Was talking about that the other day.
Yep. So I was scared to death of aliens because of it. My parents would tell me, don't worry, they're not real, they're not real, they're not real. Well, anyway, I was living in Anaheim, California, and I think it was 1996. And our apartment was right up the street from 7-Eleven, so we walked to a 7-Eleven, me and my parents, myself, and my two sisters and my brother. Walked to 7-Eleven to get some ice cream. Well, when we were walking back, my name's Dennis Jr., my dad's Dennis Sr. We're walking back, and my mom goes, Dennis, look at that. And, like, stopped in her tracks. And, of course, I look up because I'm Dennis Jr. There is a massive, massive, bright white UFO just sitting in the sky. This is at, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night, dark outside. This thing's the size of, like, 2 football fields. I completely froze. I've only been that scared one other time. It was when I had sleep paralysis when I was like 28. But I froze in place. I'm telling my mom, I'm freaking out. I'm 10 years old at the time. I'm crying. It is horrible. And I'm telling my mom and my dad, I'm like, call the Navy, call the Air Force, call the Army. I'm freaking out. And so my dad grabs me and we go back to the house, and my parents call the police station, and they're like, what the hell is this thing? And the police tell him, we don't know. We've gotten hundreds of calls about it. We're trying to figure it out. call back. We'll let you know if we know anything. So my dad loads us all up in his truck, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go back out there. I'm scared to death. I don't want to go back out there. I don't want to go back out there. Loads me, my sisters, and my brother and my mother up in the truck, and we go out to find this thing. By the time we go outside, it's gone. It's nowhere to be found. But we're going through the neighborhood where it was hovering over. This thing was hovering there, completely silent, completely lit up white, just standing completely still. We go through this neighborhood, it's gone, but everybody is outside of their house looking up at the sky, and they're all talking and everything. And my dad was like, did you guys see that thing? What the hell was that? And they're like, we don't know. Anyway, we go back to the house. My dad calls the police again, and he was like, did you guys figure out what that was? The police told him, we don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've tried to cover it up.
Yep, I've actually been trying to find other people because, again, like I said, I was living in Anaheim, California. You know where Anaheim, California is, right? That's where Disneyland is.
Yeah.
Thousands of people. I have been trying desperately to find somebody else that's seen that. Because I know other people did. I can't find anything about it online anywhere. I've searched and searched and searched. I'm 38 now. I was 10 years old when that happened.
You might have to make like a Reddit post or something for that.
Yeah, I got it. I put it up on my page. If you guys want to look at my page, I have it up on my page. I see somebody saying they were there in 96. So I was off of Orange Avenue and Knott Avenue.
Yeah, I really hope that we get somebody else that saw that, because that's really cool. I mean, I love the UFO stories, so I'm really glad that you came up and told us about that. You said it was about 2 football fields?
Yes.
Wow.
It was in 1996. Yeah, of course, I didn't, back in 1996, we didn't have these smartphones and everything, right? So, yes, 2 football fields. It was massive. I drew what I remember. I don't have video or anything because, again, in 1996, we had camcorders that were the size of a football, right? So, yeah. If you look on my page, you got to scroll through the videos, but I drew what I remember from it, and I also have another video where I circled where it was on where I was at the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out after we get off of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's awesome. And I love the 90s, so I just love the story in general.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts. If you guys, somebody in here said they'll ask around, especially if because they were there in 96, you were 18. Do me a favor, I'll follow you. If you can follow me back, let me know if you find somebody that's seen it, because I am desperately trying to find somebody else that can confirm. I mean, my entire family can confirm it. In fact, if anybody questions it, I can put one of my family members up.
Yeah.
What month? I don't remember that. I don't remember what month. I feel like it was warmer. It must have been in the summer. It had to have been, because I feel like we were out of school and I was in elementary at that point. Yeah, if you can ask around, that'd be great. When you were saying keeps you up at night, that keeps me up at night thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. It would me too. And it does happen quite often on here that someone will come up with a very strange, unique story, and shortly thereafter, someone else will have something very similar. So it's entirely possible that we may get another story about it. I guess hang around and come to the streams, and maybe you'll hear somebody else tell a similar story.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm actually following you too, because I would definitely like to. This is interesting.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you so much, and we will keep an ear out, and we'll let you know if we get any more stories like that, because that is really peculiar. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow, we have a mystery to solve, guys. We got to get on
Yeah.
it.
But do
You
we have
watch. I
the,
bet you a nickel. Somebody will come up and they'll be like, "Oh, I had this experience," and then we'll have to find this guy and let him know. Somebody out there knows, surely.
Hopefully.
if there's a mystery to solve, does that mean we also have the mystery machine?
Okay, we need to not do with the mystery machine because there's always something bad going on.
Well, yeah. So remember the Scooby Doo effect. So yeah.
I mean, like always, it's that always thing. All my very scary ones always happen what in a carpool. Always the
Yeah.
damn.
Yep. Absolutely. It really is. It's the Scooby Doo effect, guys.
If one person gets afraid, then we're all afraid, and it just gets there. But alone, I never have this issue.
Yeah. It's weird how that works. It's
I'm
usually
pretty
the
sure
other
Sarah
way
would be
around,
Daphne.
actually. I'm pretty sure I would be the dog, actually. I don't know. I just feel he's more relatable, the dog. All right, guys, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show tonight. Also, I'm so sorry, I forgot because I'm trying to hurry and get through people so that we don't leave anybody out tonight. Because it makes me extremely sad when we do that. We had a new subscriber pop up. I believe it was the gentleman that's been on a few times, and I believe he is in the box right now. OP Hater. So thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Let's get him up here and see what kind of story he's got for us tonight. Hello, welcome.
Not a problem. I thought I'd already subscribed. I was like, why am I not subbed? But yeah, so I saw a video earlier and it reminded me of an experience I had when I was a kid. So I used to live in Mesa, Arizona, and I used to go visit some family and friends that lived really close to the Mexico-Arizona border. And I saw cattle mutilation. So we were out riding quads and dirt bikes and stuff out on some farmland, and there were a bunch of different cattle. There was cows, bulls, goats, just a pretty good mixture. They weren't like for a company or anything. They were like private cattle. And so we were out riding and we saw like I forget what it's called. They're like the nature, not nature. I can't think what they're called. They're like it's like forest rangers, but for like the desert area. I can't think of BLM. There was a bunch of Bureau of Land Management trucks around this like treed area. So we were kind of curious. So we start riding by and we see this bull on its side and it's bloated and
Yeah. Don't go into detail on TikTok. Just kind of try to like be careful because we can't go into detail. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yes, like so the strange thing aside from the actual animal itself was the leaves on tree. This is middle of summer, like the trees should be in full bloom and whatnot, but like all the leaves on the tree were gone, like blown off, or like I guess blown off would be the term for it, but like it was just on like half of the trees, the side where the cow was, and there were people walking around with radiation meters and stuff, and we went back like later that night when everybody was gone to go try and see if we could see it. It was really bad, but it's the typical stuff you see on, like the documentaries and whatnot about how things were done. But yeah, I never saw any craft or anything or any entities, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a definitely an extraterrestrial science gig there, because it was really precise.
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of that happen in Kentucky. There are quite a few people here, though. They theorize that it has something to do with like Beast of the LBL activity, if you're familiar with that, like Dogman sightings and stuff. But it's terrifying and it's so disgusting. I don't know what to make of it myself, but very strange.
Yeah, it's like why what are you trying to find out? And it's always seems to be the same things that they take.
Yeah, I heard somebody one time say that it was the aliens trying to make cheeseburgers, and I was just like, oh god.
They're taking all the
As
stuff
a
that goes into hot dogs.
yeah, as a vegan, I do not appreciate those comments, but yeah, no, it's really strange, and I feel like the incidents have lessened over the last few years, but I don't know, they kind of
I
come and
wonder if
go.
they've gotten their samples that they're out looking for.
No, I don't think they liked our beef. That's what it is. Many are. If they don't like our beef, something's wrong. We shouldn't eat it. I'm going with Sarah here. I'm about to get vegan.
But yeah, that was something I remembered earlier from watching something that popped up on YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll step down if somebody else wants to hop up.
Alrighty, well, we look forward to seeing you over in the Discord, and you'll have to tell us some more wild stories over there.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get some photos or video of Toast Ghost before I leave here to post up on there.
Yeah, please do. We have a paranormal channel on there specifically for amazing things like Toast Ghosts, so we look forward to seeing that.
Okie doke then. All right, I'll step down. We'll catch y'all later. Have a good night.
Alrighty,
You
thanks,
too.
you too.
Bye.
Yes, he was the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Toast Ghost. All right, guys. Wow, we have so many people. We're probably not going to be able to get to everybody. This is why I tell you guys you got to be here at 11. We always end up with a lot of people at time to shut down. Hello, welcome. Hello, hello.
Are you there?
Hello.
Hello?
Are they? Yeah, I thought I heard something too.
And Doc? I don't think so.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and drop them because I guess maybe it was accidental or something.
Silly.
Yeah, I think somebody fell asleep on TikTok.
Oh.
All right, let's get the next person up.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Oh.
Good. How are you?
Good. So, yeah, I've got tons of stories about, like, so the malls. I spend a lot of time down Devon Cornwall, right? And the Dartmoor and Bodmin Moor are just two places that I always say never be alone on night or day. It don't matter. Mainly night. There was this incident, and we're going back to 2016, and a friend of mine lives on Dartmoor Moor, so her garden looks out on Dartmoor, right? Dartmoor Moor, sorry, looks out on Dartmoor. She's lived around Dartmoor her whole life, worked on Dartmoor. She's not a practitioner, but she's very superstitious to the point that in her back garden she has a veranda that has a gate and a fence that at night she closes, so in the summer she can be out in the garden at night and not have to look over the moors. So I was there, it was in 2016, and I was staying a couple of nights there, and we were out at night, and it was a really humid night, and I could hear people out on the moors, and I'm like, I can hear people. She's like, no, you can't. I was like, no, seriously, they're people. She's like, no, that's not people. And I went, no, it is people. And they were at the end of the garden, and they're like, hello, help. She's like, that's not people. And I'm like, Maria, that is people. She's like, no. And I'm like, I called back, and I'm like, do you need help? Are you okay? And they're like, yes, we need help. We need help. And my friend's like, don't do it. So she sent her husband out to go and look. And I'm like, you're sacrificing her husband. She's like, too right. You silly. Anyway, and it was actual campers, right? And this is like 11:30 at night. They've got no camping gear on them, just the clothes that they're wearing. And they're like, we've been walking for days, but it's not been night. This is the first time we've actually seen night, but we feel like we've been walking for days. And we're like, okay, so have you been camping? And they're like, yeah. So they said that they were camping, and they told us the location. The location was 20 miles away, just off the moors, right? They came onto the moors for a walk, and they said all of a sudden this thick fog had come down, and they just got so disorientated, right, that they just kept walking and walking. But they said the fog has only just lifted, and I was like, no. And I looked at Maria, and I was like, because like the last time it was foggy that day was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And we're like, and this is the whole thing about Dartmoor, is a disorientation, people getting lost, people walking into the fog in one area and like 10-15 minutes or hours later being like somewhere totally else the other side. It's American tourists, there was 4 of them. So my friend's husband took them to a local B&B, because you weren't going to find anything out on the moors at night. And the next day because he was going to go back to go and see them, to take them back to where they were camping. And the next day he turns up and says, yeah, they left. And they left, and they said that they were supposed to be here for another week, and they were like, no, they're going. He found them eventually, picked them up, took them back to their campsite. Their tents were ripped up, and all of their belongings was just sprawled across, and it looked like something with claws had ripped. Now, the only technically apex predator we have in the UK is a fox. It's not like these claw marks, but there's stories about the big black cats on the moors as well. No one ever sees them, and these marks were like, he brought the tents back. Whatever shedded these tents up was not a fox. Anyway, they gathered their stuff. He dropped them off at the train station. They're like, nah, this is it. We're going. We're not doing this again. And the time and time again we hear stories like that. I've had an experience where I was out on the moors when I was 17. We were doing an exercise. I was in the Navy at the time, so we were doing an exercise out on the moors. And again, the fog came down. And I thought, when the fog came down, I thought I was following someone, because there was someone in front of me, only a couple of foot. I just kept following them, right? And then when the fog lifted about 20-25 minutes later, I wasn't following anyone. It was sheep I was following. But when the fog came down, there was a person in front of me. I was on my own. I started panicking. I tried to backtrack. And when I found everyone, they were standing on this big like rock tour compound. And they're like, Joe, where were you? And I was like, I was following Mark. And they're like, no. And I said, no, Mark was in front of me. A couple of minutes before the fog came down, Mark walked out in front of me, and he said he'll take the lead. And they're like, no, Joe, you were the lead. There was no one in front of you. And I was just like, oh. So it didn't make my panic any better. So the moors, like Bodmin Moor as well. Dartmoor is, the amount of times I've been out there, just visiting, or even as a practitioner. And those places are, it's a whole other world, especially at night, especially when that fog comes down. So if ever anyone ever goes to visit and they want to go and camp at night, like, camp with a friend and keep a fire going at night. That's all I'm going to say.
It's interesting that you mentioned the fog and the mist, because supposedly in some of the different folklore and legends, which I'm sure, since you said you're a practitioner, you're fully aware of this, is that they're portals to the other world. Like, you can enter the other world through the fog and the mist, much like you can do it over the Western Sea or through caves in the underground.
So they have, on the moors, right, on Dartmoor and Bodmin Moor, they said that the law was, when the sun sets, you go into your home, you light your fire in your house, because it would be protection, and you don't go out on the moors at night, because when the fog rolls in, the wild hunt rolls in, right? If you get caught up in the wild hunt,
yeah,
you were either to go insane, or it would drag you into the other worlds. So the Wild Hunt would drag you, and the other worlds in Cornwall in West Country tradition is literally the point of Cornwall. Is the moment you hit that point in the sea, or over a cliff, wherever the sea is in Cornwall, wherever you are really, is the entrance to the other world. So it would drag you to a cliff, and boom, that's it. You would disappear. So yeah, it's eerie, and you can hear it. Both on Bodmin and Dartmoor. When I've been camping at night there, you hear the hooves, and I know there's horses out on the moors, right? But it's like a stampede, and you can hear men as well, and
It's a very pan-European concept, the Wild Hunt. I mean, it's something that's echoed throughout all these different countries, and depending on which country it is, really kind of tells a different leader leading the Wild Hunt. Like, of course, in the Scandinavian lands, it's Odin. In England, it's like Herne the Hunter in some stories, and others, it's King Arthur. In Wales, it's Auron. It's quite fascinating that it's so prevalent in European culture.
Mm. It changes as well. Like, so down in Devon and Cornwall, there's a couple of different who lead it. I mean, some say it's Woden rather than Odin, but like in the folklore down in the West Country, the Norse or the Germanic lore doesn't really enter it compared to the rest of the UK, or the rest of England, I should say at this point. But some say it's Sir Francis Drake, which is interesting. There's a history with him down in Cornwall as well on that, not just on the naval royal side of it, but with a practitioner side, because some believe that he was a practitioner. Then there's the folkloric devil, he's not the Christian devil, he's not Christian Satan, it's just a figurehead given the title folkloric devil. He's also known as like the Old One, the Dark One, the Horn God. In Cornwall, he's known as Booker. They've also got a nickname down in Cornwall and Devon for him as Daddy, which is interesting. He can go by many names. Or who is the other one? There's another one, I can't remember who it was now. There's different versions of him, but the folkloric devil, it's interesting because when people have claimed to see him, especially as a booker, he's seen on a black horse with red eyes that's blowing like fire out of his nose, or like a skeletal, spectral horse with red eyes. The Sir Francis Drake version is they believe Sir Francis Drake was a practitioner, and it's said when he beats his drum, that's when him and the spirits are called upon. So much so that his drum, and I was looking into this because I was trying to work out where his real drum is, because the replica's in his home in Buckland Abbey. They've got a replica on show. The real drum is in central England, which is undisclosed location, because they're worried that people will try to find it to beat it because of its lore surrounding it. So yeah, there's also a version of lore that there's a possibility that Sir Francis Drake could also be the headless horseman that rides around Cornwall, even though he wasn't headless. Yeah, it's interesting, though.
Kind of like the Irish Dullahan in that regard.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So yeah, it's just, but the moors, like I always say, like if you ever get a chance to visit, just don't go on your own.
I've been over there.
Very cool. I love stories from over there, and we don't get them until super late at night here on the stream. So we really appreciate you coming up and sharing that. And hopefully you'll stick around and maybe come back and tell us some more sometime.
Oh, I will do. I followed you, so now I know you're on and about. Was it Sunday, Mondays? You said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know you're here. I can pop in more.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing it. Thank you so much for coming up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, guys. It is, we've got people waiting, and I hate to like not get you guys up here, but it is 2, and we always cut it off at 2 because Meemaw needs her sleep, y'all. I'm sorry. I do. Real quick, we have a Discord. If you hit the subscribe button, you get access to the Discord. We do all kinds of fun things over there. I think we got a few new people tonight, so if you guys need help, like I saw somebody say that they were having trouble getting in to the Discord, and I don't know exactly what it looks like from your end, but send me a message if you have any trouble with your subscription, like dropping you into the Discord. Just let me know. I do tech support for the Discord at this point, so any questions you guys have about that, please do let me know. Thank you for the heart. I have to say, I always want to, every time I get one of those, I always want to be like, a heart. I don't have one of those, but I hate to rip off other people's phrases, but I always want to say that, so I figured I'd throw it out there because it's late and who cares. Yeah, Chris, I know you are tired AF. So I guess we're going to call it for the night. Be sure to turn on live notifications for my channel so that you get notified when I go live. We are here Sunday night and Monday night, 11 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Sometimes we go crazy and we're here all week. We did that last week where we were here like every single night. It was insane. It was absolute madness. We loved it. You loved it. Everybody loved it. TikTok loved it. Maybe they didn't love it. I don't know, but it was fun. So guys, be sure to turn on those live notifications, post notifications, turn them on, both of them. Stick around, come back next Sunday. We will be here. We might pop on later this week and do like a bonus stream. So definitely don't miss that. I appreciate so much everybody that came up and shared a story tonight. I appreciate you all hanging out. You guys could have been doing anything, but you chose to be here, and it means the world to us. So thank you so very much. And yeah, we will see you next week, guys. I can't believe it's already Monday night. We'll see you next week. Thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.